Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401, Gig after 10,000 years. Peter, with sharp eyes, recognized that the sidearm that was as small as an ant compared to Ultraman's body was the sidearm used by guys. It was more than 15,000 years later, and this sidearm could actually survive for 10,000 years. It must be the sidearm that Mebius took away from Earth, Hikari said, as a token of his longing for his partner, Earth, and guys. Wanda, don't you have a holiday? Ace, of course, there are no mandatory requirements for ordinary residents of the Kingdom of Light, but it's different for the Space Guard. The universe is so big, and there are only so many people in the Space Guard. Just defeating the Impeller Starman is enough for Mebius to get a meteor medal. If it is converted into defeating the rebellious monsters, at least 1 million Bimulus must be defeated. Note 1, Ace, Peter said it well. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. When Mebius returns to the Land of Light, he can no longer live a peaceful and casual life like an ordinary resident of the Land of Light. He will have his own responsibility to protect the peace of other planets and other civilizations. Ace, there may be a vacation, but the lifespan of Earthlings is too short compared to that of the Land of Light. It is very likely that when Mebius leaves, the world will change dramatically. The video continues. Tiga looked at the capsule and said, "This is something from an alien planet. The size is too different from the specifications of what we usually use. This gun is called the Turaga gun." Ferris patiently explained, "This is the gun of the defense team that Mebius belonged to when he was on Earth." Sure enough, hearing Ferris' words, everyone knew in their hearts that the knife was coming. "My senior brother Mebius?" Tager asked. "My senior brother was on Earth more than 10,000 years ago. Is this gun that old?" "Yes," Ferris said. "My senior brother Mebius took over the position of the 6 Ultra brothers at a young age. He carried out the mission of protecting the Earth and defeated legendary villains such as the Emberers and the Horus. He was even recognized as a member of the Ultra brothers." Speaking of Mebius, Tager's words were full of admiration. Unlike his father, Tager's admiration for his senior brother came from the bottom of his heart. After the battle, he came back here to pass on the valuable experience he and his companions had gained to future generations. "During my training, I also heard my senior brother tell many stories about the companions he met on Earth. I remember it was guys." Hearing this name, Ferris suddenly said, "Do you know, Tager, that Mebius encountered a lot of troubles after returning from Earth?" "What troubles?" "The racial difference, to put it bluntly, is the issue of lifespan. The lifespan of Earthlings and our Ultra clan is hundreds or even tens of thousands of times different. Over time, his companions on Earth will reach the end of their lives before him." Mebius realized this. Even though they are separated by 2 places, their hearts are still connected. Even if they can think so, the reality is still cruel. Mebius was deeply distressed by this incident at the time. And at that time, this gun arrived in the Kingdom of Light. "This gun?" Tager said in disbelief. "I'm the #1 in cosmic astronomy, and the Earth is 3 million light years away from the Kingdom of Light. How did he do that?" Mebius's partners on Earth used the transcendent technology they researched to send this gift. It seems to be called meteor technology. The Kingdom of Light was also shocked at that time. After saying that, Ferris pressed the button on the capsule. "What are you doing?" Tager was a little anxious. He was not a guy with a very low emotional intelligence. How much this gun meant to brother Mebius. Tager knew very well that, if this gun was broken, even if it was not Tager's doing, Tager would not have the face to see Mebius. "Don't worry, I'm accessing the Turaga gun through the storage capsule." After Ferris operated it, the Turaga gun made a sound of starting the machine. "Isn't this just a gun? It's not that simple. There are also voice communications of those people on Earth who care about Mebius." Under Ferris's operation, the Turaga gun made a beeping sound. The sound from the gun was a little distorted and a little intermittent, but the sound recorded in this small gun was full of endless thoughts. A gentle voice, a rough voice, a cute voice, a steady voice, a slightly vicissitudes of life voice, and the last voice combined. Guys, Sally go. Each of these voices sincerely expressed their concern for the distant partners. Phyllis said to Tiger, Mobius went to Earth to take over the 6 Ultra brothers to defend the Earth. He must have felt pressure and would be compared with the great predecessors. Just like you now, Tiger. Even so, Mobius did not escape the heavy responsibility of Ultraman and faced the Earthlings sincerely. The Earthlings would do this, not only because Mobius is an Ultraman, but also because Mobius is their irreplaceable partner. Phyllis stared at Tiger and said, so. Isn't it the title that matters, but what you do? That's right. Ferris seemed to soften. Today I'm really not like me. I'm a little too talkative. Although most of what he said was just a quote from director Hickory, Felix looked away and continued with the work at hand. It's also interesting to know history, right? Yes, I feel that it will be more interesting to come here in the future. You're still planning to come? Ferris seemed to be impatient and said, please train well. Although Ferris was impatient, the words Ferris conveyed to Tiger had already encouraged Tiger. That's right. It's time to train well. Felix seemed to feel Tiger's determination and watched Tiger leave with a happy face. A few days later, Ferris was sorting things as usual, and suddenly an Ultraman came here. Ah, Brother Mobius. Felix saw the person coming. It was the Ultra Warrior with a silver cat head, the last of the Ultra brothers, Ultraman Mobius. That Tiger kid has become very motivated recently. I'm sorry for bothering you before, Ferris. It's okay. It's just a piece of cake. I can work quietly after sending him away. He often comes here and yells, which also annoys me. Brother Mobius, this is your thing. Mobius took the capsule and looked at the Turega gun in the capsule. Gig. Easter egg memories of the future. End note 1. It has always been said that a meteor medal is worth defeating 1 million monsters, but God knows what kind of monster it is. Considering that the strength of monsters of the same kind is very different, let alone different kinds, we directly use the first monster in the history of Ultra, Bemula, as the unit of measurement, to pay tribute to it. Chapter 402, Ultra Galaxy Legend, a different plot. Is this the price of longevity? Because the difference between my lifespan and that of my partner is so great, I can only watch my partner grow old and die. Nature is so cruel. In fact, we can think about it from another perspective. Many people don't want to keep pets. Some of them don't want to keep pets because the lifespan difference between humans and pets is so great. If nothing unexpected happens, humans will witness the death of their pets. If the feelings between the two sides are deep enough, it must be very painful. Light Giant Ultra Galaxy Legend starting in 1 minute. Ultra Galaxy Legend? This title made everyone a little confused. The previous broadcasts were all titled with the names of various Ultramen, which can be said to be clear at a glance. But this Ultra Galaxy Legend, Ace, will it be the story of an Ultraman named Galaxy? Wonder, is it named after the Milky Way in the sky? River God, river? Where is the river? Wonder, it's the Milky Way. The Milky Way is a star, not your river. These two are not the same thing. River God, who said that? The Milky Way is also a river. Wonder, the Kingdom of Light. TSK, really, don't let it go for a while. Father Ultra complained, okay, Mary, call us over to see our future grandson. Ultra Galaxy Legend, or Giant of Light. Seven thought for a moment and said, could it be a story in the galaxy? So it's called Ultra Galaxy Legend. So this will be a story of Ultraman's adventure in the galaxy? It's not impossible. Giant of Light Ultra Galaxy Legend on air. 10,000 years after Mobius returned from Earth. M78 Nebula, Kingdom of Light, Ultra Spaceport. This is the most prosperous port city in the Kingdom of Light, where countless people of the Kingdom of Light live a happy life. Unlike Earth, there is no light and heat from the sun, but instead a plasma spark tower towering into the sky in the center of the city. Since the city was founded, this plasma spark tower has been constantly releasing light and heat, keeping the city away from darkness and coldness. It can be said that, if there is no plasma spark tower, there will be no city, no country. It is the most important building in the Kingdom of Light, no one else. The Ultra Arena is a place to train Ultra Warriors. Countless Ultra warriors have come out of here. At this time, many young Ultramen are practicing shooting and fighting here. The best of them will join the Space Guard and become one of them. Father Ultra looked at these young warriors practicing so hard and nodded with satisfaction. He came here to inspect. This is one of his daily jobs. After inspecting here, he will go to check the Plasma Spark Tower. The Plasma Spark Tower is the foundation of the entire Kingdom of Light. There must be no problems. But this time, when he went to see the Plasma Spark Tower, a solemn look appeared in his eyes. What a prosperous city. Peter looked at the Kingdom of Light on the screen and showed an expression from a countryman. Although everyone had seen the Kingdom of Light in the previous future memories, that was just the tip of the iceberg. This time, the screening room took them to watch the various buildings of the Kingdom of Light carefully. The extremely tall buildings, thousands or even more Ultra warriors, all of this made Peter yearn for it. Bruce's face twitched. He suddenly felt that, even if he made a battle suit with water droplets, it would be useless. With so many giants invading the Earth, he alone had no strength to resist. Even if Diana was added, it would not be enough. He must strengthen the power of the entire Earth. Thinking of this, he saw the Plasma Spark Tower. Before, they said that everything in the Kingdom of Light was built on the Plasma Spark Tower. Then, can I copy a small Plasma Spark Tower? At the headquarters of the Space Guard, Mebius returned after completing the task of destroying Bermuda and quickly reported to Captain Zoffi. Thank you for your hard work, Mebius. With Zoffi were Ultraman 7 and the first generation Ultraman. They were not as calm as Zoffi, but looked worried. Affected by the negative energy of the universe, the monsters in various regions have become more and more ferocious. I have an ominous premonition. Ultraman 7 said worriedly. The same thing happened on many planets. Jack, Ace, and Eddie have already gone to investigate. The first Ultraman said, we must find out the cause as soon as possible. If all the monsters are going to make trouble, then a battle is inevitable. Mebius said with a fist, and the fighting spirit was high. Or, call them back. The first generation said. 7 thought for a while and said, no, it's too early now. The energy center shows abnormalities. At this time, a majestic voice was suddenly heard. Everyone immediately turned around, bowed slightly, and showed respect to the visitor, because the visitor was Ultra Father and Ultra Mother. The two came hand in hand, and there must be something very important. Ultra Father said with a trace of worry in his eyes, don't take it lightly, I hope it won't happen. Others were very confused after hearing this. Ultra Father obviously didn't finish his words. What exactly did he mean by the thing he hoped wouldn't happen? Why did this matter make Ultra Father so worried? In the universe, a huge cube is quietly suspended in the air. Although the entire cube is made of scraps from the buildings of the Kingdom of Light, it is the strongest cage in the universe, the space prison. Just because it was built by none other than the King of Ultra. There are heavy guards outside the space prison, and there are countless seals inside, and all of this is just to imprison one person. In addition to the seriously ill in the space prison, there are also members of the Space Guard who are searching around. They form a team of several people, patrolling the periphery of the Kingdom of Light in a cycle of 3 years, to eliminate any possible risks. Scene. After this shift, you can go back to the Kingdom of Light to get married. While patrolling, an Ultra Warrior said to another Ultra Warrior. Yes. The Ultra Warrior named Scene also said, this is my last shift. As long as I finish it, the mission of this patrol will be completed. It's a pity that I still have several years to complete this mission, and I won't be able to make it in time for your wedding. Another Ultra Warrior said, you have to treat Oil well, otherwise we will be rude to you. That's right. You are so lucky to marry Oya. Happy wedding, Scene. Scene looked at the Kingdom of Light, and suddenly said a little worriedly, I hope nothing will happen, especially in the space prison. What? You always like to say such depressing words. The space prison has been safe for tens of thousands of years. It is a prison built by the legendary Superman King Ultra. How could something go wrong? And it's such a coincidence that it happened when you were about to get married. The team leader on the side slapped Scene's head hard and said, you are about to get married, be happy. If you don't want to get married, I will go for you. Hahaha. The team was filled with laughter, and suddenly a distress signal appeared in the communication channel of all the Ultramen. Space prison. Danger. Come quickly, space prison. A small team of Ultramen stood guard at the prison gate holding standard Ultraman spears, and there were Ultramen who were constantly training around them. They were all elite among the elite. At this time, an Ultraman descended. Two Ultramen saw that the other party was actually Jack Ultraman, one of the Ultraman brothers and the idol of all the warriors in the Kingdom of Light. The Ultraman of this team immediately saluted, but before waiting for the other party to return the salute, they saw that the other party took out an unknown weapon and laughed. This was not the voice of Jack in their memory at all. Huh? Who are you? The guarding Ultraman immediately realized that something was wrong. The guy in front of him was definitely not Jack Ultraman. How could Jack Ultraman make such a villainous laugh? With their rich combat experience, they immediately took combat postures. This was a place where serious criminals were detained. It was no wonder that they were so careful. It didn't matter if it was the real Ultraman Jack. Brother Jack would never blame them for such a thing. And the other party's answer was a sickle blade of light that contained the power to destroy the world. The Kingdom of Light. Giga fighting device. Ultra Father and Zoffy called out the name of this thing in unison. Giga fighting device? Isn't that? Yes. That's his weapon, and he's imprisoned in the space prison. Ultra Father looked at the screen, and the joy of seeing his grandson before was gone. He was left with only the worry about the two Ultra Warriors guarding the cell, and the worry about the fate of the Kingdom of Light in that world. Screening room. Giga fighting device. Hikari recognized the stick-like weapon at a glance. Isn't that thing sealed in the Valley of Fire? How could it be? Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Constantine asked in confusion. What Giga fighting device? That pitch black stick? Yes, that was the one who invaded the Land of Light after Emperor. No, he was an Ultraman from the Land of Light, but he fell into darkness. His name is Comeback. The ultimate darkness in the universe. The most powerful Dark Ultraman in the Land of Light. The successor of Rebrand. The most powerful Rebrand. Ultraman Belial. This is the same as my hometown is Earth. I made the entire fanfiction based on the original. The outline will not change, but some details have changed, such as combat effectiveness. Chapter 403 Baba is not Zerub, Belial awakens. My hand was shaking, and I sent the wrong message. Fake Jack shook his head and turned back to his true form, that is, the Baba Star who has the ability of mimicry. Baba Star relied on the powerful power of the Giga fighting device to knock down a team of Ultra Warriors guarding the gate with one move, and then lightly waved it, and a light blade smashed most of the doors and walls of the space prison built by the King of Ultra. Baba himself is not strong, but the powerful Giga fighting device, this thing contains the power of 100 small universes. Seeing the description of the Giga fighting device on the screen, everyone was shocked. This may not be 100 stars. Although the power of 100 stars is already amazing, this thing is even stronger. It has the power of 100 universes. Although I don't know how big the macro universe is, it can't be weaker than the energy of a star. This thing has 100 universes? I don't know either. Hikari said, I only saw Belial from a distance, when Belial invaded the Land of Light. At that time, he took this Giga fighting machine, and defeated the Plasma Spark Tower all the way. He was finally sealed by the King of Ultra. The first owner of the Giga fighting machine was not Belial, but an ultimate life form named Rebrando. Rebrando has the power to control the monster army and strengthen the blood of the controlled monsters. He was also a powerful enemy of the Land of Light. Later, although Rebrando's body was destroyed, his soul was immortal. He has been stirring up trouble in the universe and trying to resurrect. In the end, I don't know how he found Belial, causing Belial to turn evil and invade and attack the Land of Light. The Giga fighting machine has the power to control 100 monsters, and I remember that the Giga fighting machine is also an extremely powerful weapon that can release various light skills. That's all the information I know. Ace, the Giga fighting machine also enhances the user's body. Baba himself cannot release such a terrifying light skill. This should be the power of the Giga fighting machine. Ace, the captain told me that compared to the Giga fighting machine, what is more terrifying is Belial's own strength. Peter Parker, but why did Baba release Belial? He planned to retaliate against the Kingdom of Light by releasing Belial. And how did he get the Giga fighting machine? Wasn't the Giga fighting machine kept in the Valley of Fire? Guang. Yes, the Valley of Fire has a terrifyingly high temperature. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is comparable to the temperature of a star. In the entire Kingdom of Light, only Super Taro, who has merged with the 6 Ultra Brothers, has the power to resist that level of high temperature. Guang, it is basically impossible for the barbarians to resist the high temperature of the Valley of Fire by their own strength. Either the Giga fighting device was taken out by someone who entered the Valley of Fire and somehow fell into Barbarian's hands, or Barbarian got the ability or props that can resist the high temperature of the Valley of Fire. Guang, but who can invent a prop that can resist the terrifying high temperature of the Valley of Fire? Logan, could it be you? Guang, impossible, absolutely impossible. Guang, wait a minute, this is 10,000 years later, then, it may really be possible. Bruce Wayne, even if the origin of the Giga fighting device has been explained, how does Barbarian know that a demon like Bilier is in the space prison? Or how does he know that Bilier is imprisoned in the space prison? Ace, I thought Barbarian wanted to go to the space prison to find a powerful monster, but Barbarian specifically called out Bilier's name, which must not be a random place, and the space prison only holds Bilier. Ace, but few people in the Land of Light know that Bilier was imprisoned in the space prison. Unless they specifically look up the history of the Land of Light, the only thing they know is that there was an Ultraman who fell into darkness in the Land of Light. Bruce Wayne, it seems that there is a mastermind behind Baba. Peter Parker, fortunately, we can know what may happen in the future in advance through the screening room. If the mastermind really exists, we will definitely know it in the end. By then, Mr. Hickory can go back and make more advanced predictions. The video continues. Baba wields the Giga fighter and enters the space cage directly. There are many seals inside, but they are all used to seal a guy inside. The resistance to the outside is very weak. Baba looks at an Ultraman who is sealed in a special metal and falls into a deep sleep and laughs wildly. That blue guy is right. Legend has it that the Dark Ultraman has been sealed for tens of thousands of years. Let me wake you up from your deep sleep today, blue guy. Hickory frowned. This is not easy to find. There are so many blue cosmic people in the universe, and there is a gap of 10,000 years. God knows where the other party is. The Kingdom of Light. Hearing Baba's words, Tarikia, who had already drawn a family portrait of Taro's family, suddenly felt a pang in his heart. He used the Giga fighter in his hand to launch a violent energy attack. 100 violent cosmic forces raged wildly in the cell. The seal set by the King of Ultra also fell apart at this moment. The sealed guy woke up. He took heavy steps. Every step he took seemed to shake the entire cosmic prison. He shook his head and the confusion in his eyes gradually faded. When he realized that he was really out of trouble, his originally confused eyes gradually began to emit a terrifying aura. He looked up to the sky and let out a long roar, as if to sweep away the depression of being sealed for such a long time. Evil facial features, red stripes painted on the black body, 2 surprisingly large palms, sharp black nails like knives. The breath of death, evil, and destruction emanated from his body. Bilier. Ultraman Bilier. The most powerful and evil Dark Ultraman in the Land of Light. Looking at the Dark Ultraman he released, Baba shouted, I will rule the entire universe. Now, accept my guidance. Baba used the Giga fighter to shoot a purple beam of light at Bilier. Haha, if I control you, I will be the best in the world. Bilier grabbed the little bug in front of him and thrust his other hand into his chest fiercely and then poked it, and the claw that poked into Baba's body released a black and red electric current, and in an instant, Baba turned into dust in the universe. After silently solving this ignorant bug, Bilier took the Giga fighter in his hand and then did something unknown. The weapon that was originally like a mallet turned into a long weapon and waved it twice. It was full of vigor, and it was still a familiar feel. Stupid bug, if you surrender, I can still spare your life. How dare you control me? Bilier was so angry that he laughed. Did he sleep too long? So long that all kinds of messy things dared to jump in front of him. Barbar aliens, a group of things that I almost killed to extinction when Emperor invaded the Kingdom of Light. Really? Bilier decided not to use his precious physical strength to think about a bug. He was not worthy of it. At this time, several rays of light energy bombarded him. Belia didn't even look at these energy attacks and let them hit him. This attack would not cause any harm to him at all. He raised his head coldly and looked at the sky and saw that a large group of Ultra warriors had surrounded this place. "Don't move. Go back to the cell," the leading unknown warrior shouted sternly. Belia looked around and asked, "Are the young generation of the Kingdom of Light so bad now? Are you qualified to fight me? Let Kane do it. Last warning." Belia shook his head, stuck the Giga fighting device into the ground, pointed his middle finger at the leading Ultra warrior, and then bent his middle finger. "Let me see how lazy the Kingdom of Light is now. Come on, I just need a warm up. If you beat me, I will go back. Let's go." Seeing this, the leading captain rushed up first. The Ultra warriors surrounded Belia and launched an attack, but Belia was not afraid of the siege at all. He didn't even take the Giga fighting device. Just punching and kicking caused heavy losses to the Ultra warriors. The strength gap was too big. Belia only used a normal attack to achieve damage that the Ultra warriors could not cause, even if they went all out. Two Ultraman warriors saw that they were no match for the close combat, so they launched a joint ray attack, but Belia just stretched out one hand and easily blocked the ray attack they launched together, and he didn't even use the defensive barrier. His body resisted the ray without any damage. Belia laughed arrogantly. "Hahaha, please be serious, it's not fun at all." Belia punched an Ultraman warrior and sent him flying onto a meteorite. The Ultraman warrior didn't even have time to turn on the red light, and the light went out on the spot. Scene. The team leader was the strongest master in the group of Ultraman, and Scene was his friend since childhood. They were classmates in elementary school, middle school, and university. They also joined the Space Guard together, listened to the guidance of Instructor Taro together, and pursued Oya together. Most importantly, Scene was the partner who saved his life. Seeing that Scene was beaten to death by Belia, the team leader was angry and rushed up to fight with Belia, but was knocked to the ground by Belia. He was the only warrior who could fight with Belia in front of him, but the gap between him and Belia was too big. How boring. Belia looked at the corpses of the Ultraman around him, stepped on the captain with one foot, and a ball of red and black lightning was gathering in his hand. As a slightly larger bug among a group of small bugs, and because of your ridiculous friendship, I decided to give you a slightly decent death. Belia said, "Listen carefully, Bug. I used to have a friend. He was the same as you, TSK. He really slept too long and his brain was confused. Why talk so much to a dying bug? Stop it. Bastard." A figure attacked. No matter how fast it was much faster than those ordinary Ultraman warriors before. Belia dodged it sideways and picked up the Giga fighting device and got ready for fighting at the moment he turned around. "Belia, I won't forgive you." Looking at the corpses all over the ground, Taro's eyes were red. It is inevitable that soldiers will die on the battlefield, but being slaughtered and humiliated by the enemy like this, how could Taro not be angry? They are all his students. There are many children who he has raised since childhood. They called him Instructor Taro affectionately a few days ago. They were still alive 10 minutes ago. The child named Scene had sent him an invitation to invite him to attend the wedding of him and his beloved. Belia. Taro gritted his teeth and looked at the black and red demon in front of him. There was a fire of anger burning in his chest, as if even his body began to burn with a real flame. "Oh, you know my name?" Belia looked at the pair of horns on Taro's forehead, as if he remembered someone who made him extremely unhappy. Taro's anger was burning, but he was not blinded by this anger. He could be angry in battle, but he could not be dominated by anger anyway. Taro's strength is not weak, but Belia's strength far exceeded Taro's expectations. After a brief fight, Taro was certain of one thing, that is, he was no match for Belia in close combat. The opponent was stronger than him in both physical fitness and combat skills. This was not only numerically strong, but also in combat skills. Taro could still be on par with Belia, but in other aspects, Taro was actually crushed by Belia in all aspects. The soul of Rebrand not only gave Belia a new skin, but also strengthened his strength, which came from the power of darkness. The most important thing was combat experience. Belia was keenly aware of Taro's anger, and Belia was a master at regulating emotions. "Come here. After provoking Taro, Belia not only did not attack, but jumped onto a high platform. The impatient Taro followed closely, but Belia quickly went up to fight in close combat when Taro just landed. After a brief fight, Belia had a general understanding of Taro's tactics. Although Taro had been through hundreds of battles, he was still a little immature compared to Belia, who had fought countless battles. Belia quickly analyzed several suitable tactics, based on his rich combat experience. After fighting with Belia several times, Taro realized that he was no match for Belia in close combat, so he quickly distanced himself, condensed his energy, and released a stream ray attack towards Belia, and a powerful ray of energy shot towards Belia. At the critical moment, Belia twisted his body strangely, trying to avoid the opponent's ray attack, but was still scratched on the shoulder by the stream ray, and a small cell containing terrifying evil energy scattered in the universe. Taro didn't even have time to care about this little cell. Belia's combat skills also exceeded his expectations, making him feel like he was facing his own father. Boy, let me ask you, who is Kane to you? The differences began. Do you have any other requirements for fanfiction? Chapter 404, Taro's triple combo, supernova burning. After sensing the stream beam, Belia did not attack, but dodged it easily, and asked Taro about his identity. Although the familiar energy allowed Belia to confirm the other party's identity, Belia still wanted to ask. He is my father, the captain of the Space Guard, the hero of the Kingdom of Light. Taro Sanlian.jpg haha, hero. Belia stopped pretending. In a rage, Belia looked up to the sky and roared. The dark red breath actually became substantial. Facing the breath that was like the abyss, Taro actually felt suffocated for a moment. Crunch, crunch. Belia's side came, like the sound of a broken mirror, and extremely fine cracks appeared around him. Although the cracks were so fine that they were almost invisible to the naked eye, and the cracks recovered within a few milliseconds after they appeared, Taro recognized what it was. It was a space crack. Belia, this legendary demon, could actually shatter space with his aura. After figuring out Taro's routine this time, Belia took the initiative to attack, and clawed at Taro with a black flame. The terrifying black flame made Taro dare not resist. Taro could only dodge, or use the Ultra Crown to barely resist the opponent's claw attack. Fortunately, Belia had many restrictions on using this move, and gave up after using it a few times. Seeing this, Taro used a hand knife to fight the enemy, but this move had been used against Belia before. For someone like Belia who had terrible combat experience, the same move was not a move, but a flaw. The Kingdom of Light. Taro is anxious. Ultra Father commented on the side, this kid is still too impatient. Belial has rich combat experience, I dare not say that I can surpass him. In terms of combat talent, Belial is really strong. He can judge the enemy's state at a glance during the battle and use it. Now Belial can definitely see that Taro is overwhelmed by anger, and Taro's own impatience is also a weakness, and in front of Belial, this weakness will be magnified infinitely. Beria, how terrifying is he? All of them are experienced warriors, and the Ultramen naturally know how strong the level that Ultra Father mentioned is. They have been with Taro for a long time and naturally know that Taro is impatient, but in battle, he can judge the enemy's character and fighting style through a brief fight, and can immediately judge the means of counterattack. This is either an absolute talent, or the combat experience is so terrifying that it is unimaginable for ordinary people. The video continues. Seeing this, Belial lifted Taro's arm, causing Taro to lose his balance, and then kicked Taro's thigh with a whip kick, causing Taro to kneel on the ground. Finally, he kicked Taro in the abdomen, and sent Taro flying thousands of meters away. Belial, you are very strong. Taro clenched his fists, and a pure and hot flame burned from inside Taro's body. But I won't let you enter the Kingdom of Light. I will defeat you, and avenge the sacrificed children. Feeling the energy fluctuations on Taro's body, Belial didn't take it seriously. Stream Ray? The kind of skill that has such a long pre-swing that he can dodge it, even if he is sleepwalking? It was purely an accident that he didn't dodge it before. If he can't dodge it this time, Belia will go back to the space prison and continue to be in jail. Ultra Bomb. The terrifying flames carried violent photon energy. Because of the extremely high temperature, the structure of the atomic nucleus was destroyed. The electrons and protons in the atomic core squeezed to produce neutrinos, X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, and Taro's light were all distorted and emitted dazzling white light. Belia couldn't see Taro's body for a while. It's interesting. Although it is definitely not as good as a supernova explosion, it is already far higher than the temperature of ordinary stars. Belia's face changed slightly, and then he shook his arms. This time, the dark purple current was attached to his body. On his left hand, a ball of black current was jumping wildly. If it weren't for Belia's control, this ball of dark current would spread everywhere, and at least the matter within the range of a star system would be turned into cosmic dust. Boy, let me see if you have fallen from your father's name. The two fists of AO, one white and one black, collided with each other, as if two supernovas collided. A powerful torrent of energy seemed to be about to create the world again, with the place where the two fists collided as the origin, to create another Big Bang. The powerful energy torrent swept across the entire galaxy, thanks to the protective shields provided by a Superman named A. Guang in the Science and Technology Bureau, who did not want to reveal his name. The Kingdom of Light had already arranged on various planets to block the impact of this terrifying energy torrent. Otherwise, the entire galaxy would have been razed to the ground. Son of Cain, you are still too young. You actually still have the mind to consider other planets. Belia looked at Taro in the white light opposite and felt the other party's efforts to suppress the scattered energy. He immediately knew that the other party dared to worry about other planets while fighting with him, so Belia directly summoned the Giga fighting device to attack. Rebrando's soul almost disappeared in the 10,000 years of suppression and was completely suppressed by Belia. Now the Giga fighting device and this body are completely controlled by Belia himself. Of course, the price is that Belia's soul is inevitably polluted by Rebrando. This terrifying force is still raging in the universe. The galaxy-level protective shield invented by the Science and Technology Bureau of the Kingdom of Light to resist foreign enemies was used for the first time to block the internal energy impact. Even so, the protective shield of the Science and Technology Bureau still seemed precarious under the energy impact, just like a paper-pasted window rustling in the howling wind, as if it would break in the next second. Of course, the terrifying energy fluctuations attracted the attention of the Kingdom of Light. At this time, the entire Kingdom of Light entered a state of alert, especially all members of the Space Guard gathered at the Ultra Dojo, ready to follow Zoff's orders at any time. At this time, a meteor suddenly fell, raising a large amount of smoke and dust. After the smoke and dust dissipated, it was seen that it was not a meteor, but Belia and Ultraman Taro. The fight between Taro and Belia ended with Taro's defeat. Taro lost his strength after the fist fight and survived the explosion by relying on the special ability of the Ultra Heart. Land of Light, I'm back again. Belia looked at the familiar Land of Light and the Ultraman in front of him and laughed arrogantly, throwing Ultraman Taro in his hand like a piece of garbage. Instructor Taro. The Ultramen were furious when they saw that Belia threw them on the ground like a piece of garbage. Taro is an Ultra brother, and this title is glorious because of Taro and them, not because Taro is an Ultra brother, so Taro has these honors. The residents of the Land of Light are convinced and respectful to Taro from the bottom of their hearts. Exclamation mark. Even if the opponent is someone who can defeat Taro, the residents of the Land of Light are not afraid at all and still have the courage to fight against the opponent. You, run. Seeing the ordinary residents of the Land of Light rushing up to fight with Belia one by one, Taro shouted in pain. After a brief fight with Belia, he figured out Belia's strength, which is definitely above his own. Even if Belia didn't sneak attack, he wouldn't be his opponent. His sneak attack was just to end the battle faster without injury. This is a residential area. How could this group of ordinary residents be Belia's opponent? They would just die if they went up. Seeing this, Belia laughed and said, "Not bad, you're still a bit brave. I thought you would run away screaming like a group of pigments who saw blood. Cain is so weak." Belia stuck the Giga fighting device into the ground again and punched a resident who didn't even have an energy indicator light. I didn't expect that the Kingdom of Light under his management is pretty good. Then Belia stomped his foot hard on the ground, and a dark red energy wave pushed in all directions like a ring of fire. The ground under his feet was cracked inch by inch, and in an instant it turned into a big pit. The residents who rushed up from the surroundings were directly beaten away by this dark impact. They didn't even have the strength to resist. Although I don't know who you are, but stop right now. A tall figure came to Belia's front against the dark impact and hit Belia's face with a straight punch. Belia calmly turned his head to avoid this move, but he didn't expect that this attack was just a feint. The real killer move was the knee strike that followed. Gray's knee hit Belia's abdomen with a huge force. Even Belia's strength was greatly damaged by this move. He stepped back with his hands covering his abdomen in pain. Seeing this, Gray was about to take advantage of the victory, but he didn't expect that Belia's stiffness had ended. The claws wrapped in dark energy swung, and 3 substantial cutting rays directly hit Gray's body. Sparks flew, and Gray flew backwards thousands of meters away. Tick, tick, tick. Gray's energy indicator began to light up red on the spot. Belia actually beat Gray from full state to near death with one move. Belia rubbed his stomach and said, "Your strength is barely acceptable. I'll give you a chance. Submit to me, and I'll spare your life. Dream on." Gray lay on the ground helplessly, but his tone and belief were particularly firm. "Then go to hell." Belia gathered energy with one hand, and a charged version of the dark lightning stream was gathering. He wanted to turn Gray in this civilian area into cosmic dust. At this moment, a stream of light that was obviously not powerful enough was shot at Belia. Although it was not powerful enough, it still attracted Belia's attention. Belia twisted his body to avoid the stream light and looked at Taro, who was dragging his weak body to stand up. "I've been away for so long that I forgot. The Kingdom of Light has the effect of restoring health, mana and adding buffs to the people of the Kingdom of Light. Belia, I won't let you succeed. You idiot. Why don't you run away?" Belia didn't pay attention to Taro's words, but instead scolded, "If you had run away just now, I would never have noticed you, and you could have survived. You are going to lose your life to save a guy who is impossible to save. Because Ultra Warriors never give up on their companions." Taro rushed up again, and flames burned in his body again. I didn't learn much from Kane, but he learned his damn Ultra Spirit very well. Belia didn't be polite to Taro this time, and directly summoned the Giga fighting device. A blue electric current directly knocked Taro unconscious. "Weakling," Belia said disdainfully, "you can only talk about bullshit spirits, but without power, you still can't protect anything. Only power is the true meaning of the universe." Belial raised the Giga fighting device, and was about to use the destruction ray to destroy this place. At this moment, support arrived late. "Stop." A giant with a silver cat head flew over with a lightsaber. "Oh." Mebius stabbed at Belia with a sword, but was easily blocked by Belia. Belia's Giga fighting device seemed to carry the power of 3,000 planets, and Mebius's arm was numb. It's a disadvantage to fight long-range soldiers with short weapons, and Mebius's physical fitness and fighting skills are far inferior to Belia. Ha. Belia seized Mebius's flaw, and the Giga fighting device hit Mebius's lower abdomen fiercely, and then immediately lifted it upwards. Mebius was directly knocked out of the Kingdom of Light by this huge force. "Your courage is commendable." Just then, another group of Space Guard members arrived. Seeing another group of Space Guard members rushing up fearlessly, Belia became anxious and cursed. "Stupid guys, are you sending your heads as a group?" Beria swept out with a stick, emitting a sickle-shaped energy light blade. The sickle light blade containing terrifying energy directly knocked all the Space Guard members who rushed up away. After a short fight, no one in the entire area could stand except Belia. How can this guy be so terrifying? Seeing Belia sweeping across the entire Kingdom of Light like an ancient demon, everyone in the theater once again had a new understanding of the power of Ultraman. Perhaps they only suppress their power on Earth in order not to cause too much damage, just like Mebius, who was scolded by Dragon. When an Ultraman does not have to worry about anything, the damage they cause is extremely terrifying. They heard clearly what Belia said about the Ultra Bomb. Although it is not as powerful as a supernova explosion, it is stronger than an ordinary star. Bruce Wayne, Ultra Bomb. Do you have many people in the Kingdom of Light who know this move? Ace, now only Taro knows this move, and there may be another Mebius in the future. Ace, this is also an absolutely taboo skill, because this move is the same as self-destruction. Only Taro with the Ultra Heart can use this move at the cost of shortening his life. Ace, and I think the Ultra Bomb used by Taro in the video is much more powerful than what I know. Guang, it may be a matter of time. The Ultra Galaxy will be at least 10,000 years later. It is impossible for Taro to sleep for 10,000 years. Ace, that's right, but Belia, the demon's strength has increased instead of decreased after sleeping for so long. Guang, I worked in the Science and Technology Bureau back then, and I escaped from the 2 wars. How strong was Belia back then? Ace, I don't know either. I was still in elementary school at the time. I'll ask Brother Zoffy and the captain. How come I was so shaken that I posted chapter 409 to volume 6? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405, The Sword God in front of the Science and Technology Bureau. Kingdom of Light. The father of Ultra looked at his old friend on the screen and said solemnly, Beria was definitely not that strong back then. If he was so strong, then I wouldn't even be in Beria's hands back then. Go through 3 moves. Belia's turmoil in the Kingdom of Light only occurred more than 100 years after the Great Space War and Emperor invaded the Kingdom of Light. It was a time when the Kingdom of Light was in decline. Elite warriors, my seniors all died in the Great Cosmic War. The most powerful people in the entire Kingdom of Light were me and Beria. Although I had awakened the power of truth, we couldn't control it well, and wanted to use it. The power still needs the help of the Holy Sword. The father of Ultra touched the scar on his waist and said, and the scar on my waist was left by the Emperor Star with the Emperor Blade. To this day, it cannot be cured. This permanent scar. My strength at that time was not as good as it is now, and more importantly, my injuries were not suppressed. Zophie was just an ordinary warrior. In this case, no one could stop Beria. If the king didn't take action at that time, the Kingdom of Light would be in danger. Looking at the Kingdom of Light on the screen, the father of Ultra said after serious consideration, that Kingdom of Light is stronger than us. Quite a bit. It's not about one person being strong, it's about being strong as a whole. The whole thing is much stronger. Will the parallel universe cause such a big change? As a scientist, Hickory came up with a clue from the plasma spark tower. Maybe it's because of the plasma spark tower in that world. Guang, the plasma spark tower has given us powerful power. Maybe the plasma spark tower in that world is different from the plasma spark tower in our universe, which is why such a change has occurred. Guang, the more precise the instrument, the greater the impact of changes. The original ideological stamp and 3-body only changed a plus or minus sign. This change was so small that even Soften could not detect it. But it had a completely different impact, turning the belief in victory into the escape doctrine of belief in defeat. Guang, the plasma spark tower may just have different data from ours, but it results in a huge difference in strength between all the residents of the Kingdom of Light in that world and the residents of the Kingdom of Light in our universe. Video continues. After successfully defeating all the members of the Space Guard, Beria suddenly gave up his previous idea of destroying everything here. He decided to fight all the way from here, directly into the plasma spark tower, and take off the source of the plasma spark tower. Only in this way can you prove that you are the strongest. When the time comes, go to the monster graveyard to resurrect monsters and conquer the entire universe. As for the Kingdom of Light, just use it as your base camp. This place will be renamed soon. The Kingdom of Light is a galactic empire of Belial. Belia flew towards the plasma spark tower with the gigabit fighting instrument. As the most conspicuous building in the entire Kingdom of Light, the plasma spark tower continued to emit dazzling light, even for people who came to the Kingdom of Light for the first time. It's easy to find, let alone Beria who has lived here for tens of thousands of years. During the flight, Beria didn't pay attention to those little bugs at all. If they blocked the road, he would just crush them to death. And go specifically to massacre them? They don't deserve it. While passing by a building, the energy network suddenly filled the sky and locked Berea inside. What dares to block my way? Berea then punched him, but he didn't break the energy network. There was a trace of curiosity in Berea's eyes. Although it was just a casual blow by himself, ordinary meteorites would never be able to block the blow he just made. This thing was actually able to block it. Berea, come down and fight. Berea turned around and found a blue scientist looking at him. Berea has an interesting thought. The blue people are not good at fighting. This is an iron rule for Berea, an old man. Now this guy actually wants to challenge himself. You look familiar to me. Berea said. I noticed not many of the guys from before could call me by my name. Do you know me? Senior Berea. Scientist, he spoke. I'm Hickory. I used to go to watch your matches with Senior Kane with Zoffy. Oh, I remembered. That boy Zoffy is your best friend. Bailey Yay patted his head and said, you kid can invent such a thing, but it is still useful. Submit to me, and when I conquer the universe, you will be the #1 scientist in the universe. Zickley shook his head and stretched his arms toward the sky. Out of the left arm, Abo, a piece of armor with dazzling light attached to Shikara's body. When Berea saw this, he was furious. You, a little scientist, dare to challenge me, even though you are wearing a suit of armor. Master, suffer death. Zickley waved his arm, unsheathed the long sword, pointed the sword tip to the sky, and the sword intention turned into a substantial thought, and pierced the sky, actually piercing the energy shield of the Kingdom of Light. Berea was shocked when he saw this. Is this a scientist? Is this the Blue Tribe? Exclamation mark. It's making trouble. Could it be the power of that armor? It's interesting. Seeing this, Berea also suppressed his contempt, holding a gigabit fighting device in his hand, and looked at Hickory seriously. This is an opponent who deserves to be taken seriously like the kid named Taylor before. Moreover, since the opponent also has weapons, he has to use long soldiers to fight short soldiers to gain an advantage. Abusing food is abusing food, but if you have the ability to threaten your opponent, you must be extremely careful. I will give you another chance. Give me that armor, and then make this kind of armor for my army. The promise I made to you before remains unchanged. You are still the #1 in the universe of my Berea Galaxy Empire. A scientist. Zickley shook his head and said, this armor, called the Armor of Courage, was given to me by my lover. It is the only one in the universe, and you really think you are qualified? Put it on. Inside the Science and Technology Bureau, a group of scientists under Hickory gathered around and looked nervously at Hickory, who was confronting Berea. Is it really possible, Chief Hickory? The aura on that demon is so terrifying. Yes, I heard that the entire universe prison was prepared for this guy alone. The universe prison is the King of Ultra, a specially built prison. Doesn't that mean that this demon was specially sealed by the King of Ultra? Chief Hickory is just a scientist. Can he really deal with this kind of demon? Captain Zoffy, why haven't they come yet? The plasma spark tower needs someone to guard it. There must be someone behind this demon's escape from the cosmic prison. In case the demon is just a cover, the real one is what if the mastermind behind the scenes is waiting to take away the plasma sparks on the plasma spark tower? The Ultra Brothers must guard the plasma spark tower. The evacuation alert has been issued. We are the only ones in this area. Look. Chief Hickory is taking action. Chapter 406. What a bullshit Ultra Spirit. It was lost tens of thousands of years ago. Shikari seemed to have turned the entire Aodo into a peerless sword. The soaring sword power even stung Berea's eyes. The moment Berea subconsciously turned his head, Hickory's whole body instantly killed towards Berea. Berea was even less polite to Hickory when he saw this. The gigabit fighting device in his hand released a thunderous thunder. The dark thunder and lightning raged in this not too big space. It could have blocked thousands of rounds. The energy shield of the 1 trillion degree fireball was regarded as overloaded at this moment, and then exploded. Berea shattered the energy shield. Restart immediately. No, it can't be restarted. The opponent's energy value completely exceeds our expectations. This is just a semi-finished product, and even if it is, a Chief Kala's expected complete body would not be able to block it for a few seconds. Look at it, Chief Hickory. Chief Hickory actually separated the thunder and lightning with his telekinesis. There was thunder and lightning, but in front of Hickory, these thunder currents were like the sea in front of a guru, obediently scattered on both sides. At this moment, Moses parted the sea and forced the king to be born. It shouldn't be. Chief Hickory is not good at telekinesis, and even Instructor Jack can't separate the energy shield so smoothly without changing his face. No, it's not telekinesis. Look. The electricity in front of Commander Hickory was split with a sword. Be rear. I, Hickory, respect you as a member of the Kingdom of Light. Senior, I respect you more for the contributions you have made to the Kingdom of Light. In my heart, you are still the heroic Ultraman Be rear, not Be real Enix. Find your Ultraman. Heart and Ultra Spirit. Senior Be rear. What a bullshit Ultra Spirit. Up. Be rear was waiting for a chance to take action. He knew that the scientist in front of him was difficult to deal with. He was more of a swordsman than a scientist. Facing Hickory, Be rear, who had terrifying combat experience, chose to strike later. The best choice. Hickory hopes to persuade Be rear to come back, although he also knows that a few words cannot persuade Be rear, who has fallen into the abyss, to come back. But what if? What if Be rear could find the Ultra Heart and Ultra Spirit that he had lost? Don't give up hope. Make the impossible possible. This is the Ultra Warrior. I heard a little bit about what happened back then, but you did something wrong. Hickory shouted sternly. Don't forget, the plasma spark is the root of the Kingdom of Light. The plasma spark is not to say destroyed, even if it appears. With every little problem, the Kingdom of Light may suffer unpredictable disasters. As the strongest warrior of the Kingdom of Light at that time, it's impossible for you not to understand this truth. Perhaps the strongest warrior. The compliment came in handy for Be rear, and his attitude improved slightly, but he still said, since I'm the strongest, why not give me the position of captain of the Space Guard? Instead, give it to that guy Kane. I'm the strongest warrior. The Kingdom of Light should be led by me. Hearing Be rear's words, Hickory sighed and said, you said that your Ultra Spirit existed tens of thousands of years ago. I thought it was just an angry comment from you, but now it seems that your Ultra Spirit has really been thrown away by you. What do you mean, you bastard? You really think the universe is gone? Do you really think that the position of the captain of the security force is due to his powerful strength? Isn't it true? Be rear roared. Kick me. The strongest guy in the Kingdom of Light is Kane. This way he has the status and power of the captain of the Space Guard. Mary is the one I like. Hickory saw this. The few good impressions of Be rear in his heart also quickly faded. He said to Be rear, why do you think we are strong? Be rear was stunned when he heard this. Ultraman is not strong. What is strong is the heart that wants to protect others. The reason why the captain of the Space Guard is Kane Senpai and not you Be rear. It's because you have made the most of becoming the captain. The important request, Ultra Spirit, was lost. What are you talking about? Power is the only thing. Be rear is obviously anxious. Then why did Mary Senpai choose Kane Senpai instead of you? At that time, you two were competing fairly. Why are we called Ultra Warriors instead of M78 Starmen? Because our Ultra Spirit allows us to help the weak and maintain peace. What's the difference between us and Grizzer? Shut up, Be rear. He picked up the stick and hit Hickory. At this moment, Hickory's sword intent and superposition reached its peak, and he slashed with one sword. The knight's lightsaber competed with the gigabit fighting instrument in Be rear's hand to win. Be rear. Think carefully. Think about your Ultra Spirit. Your original intention to become a warrior. My original intention is to gain more power. Be rear Ordon swept out a sickle. The light blade, with the blessing of anger, the light blade cut off the space directly, leaving a space crack on the path. Then, what's the purpose of gaining more powerful power? Hickory swung his sword without showing any weakness, and the light blade that could tear apart the space was broken in front of Hickory. Odu, the melon-eating blue tribe watching the show in the Science and Technology Bureau, can't remember how many times he was shocked by Hickory today. This old director is too good at hiding. He is also a scientist. How come scientists are so different from each other? Why is the gap so big? Sir Hickory is too strong. The light blade that can tear apart space was actually cut off by Chief Hickory's sword. Yes, I heard that there are people who can do this. Those are some of the Ultra Brothers. But isn't Commander Hickory also an Ultra Brother? The energy buffer is completed. Still. Confinement field. No. Activate the buff field and interference field. Give full assistance to Commander Hikari. A stream of pure photon energy appeared in Hikari's body. There was a faint golden light, and Beria felt dizzy, and there was a buzzing echo in his ears. Let me see if I can put an Easter egg stamp. Chapter 407 3 AOS vs. Old Betty. Shikali didn't have time to nod to everyone, and took this opportunity to kill Belia. Darkness descended at this moment, and a darkness that would make people feel endless despair at a glance surged in all directions with Belia as the center. Even Shikali, who was at the peak of his fighting spirit, slowed down his sword under the influence of this darkness. This little bit of influence can already do a lot for a guy like Belia. Dark blasting shock. Ultrasonic roar. Belia first released a powerful dark energy shockwave to shake Shikali away from him to ensure his own safety. Then, after his mind was clear, he quickly roared a terrifying sonic attack in the direction of Shikali. Seeing this, Shikali could only swing his sword to cut through the dark shock and sonic wave. I never thought that Belia would be so unethical. The darkness he released before turned into a shadow monster at this moment and sneaked into the Science and Technology Bureau. In that case, let me see how strong your ultra spirit is. Ha 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 ha. Belial flew away with a wild laugh. Seeing that the shadow beasts had invaded the Science and Technology Bureau, Hikari could only deal with a few shadow beasts first. The plasma spark tower has Zophie, the first generation, 7, and the captain. It shouldn't be a problem for them to deal with Belial. In the screening room, everyone looked at Hikari differently. Even if they were isotopes, Hikari's isotope was too powerful. You can definitely be called the greatest swordsman in the universe. Constantine thought for a moment before saying, this swordsmanship is too terrifying. That's also my isotope. Hikaru said with a wry smile. I still like to invent and research. Although a strong individual's combat power can protect one side, if a groundbreaking prop is invented, it is possible to change the life of the entire universe. It's like the invention of the steam engine brought about changes in the Earth's civilization. Don't pursue power excessively, help those in need in your own way, and within your own ability. This is also the Ultraman spirit. After Peter said this, he smiled at Hikaru. Image continues. After using a trick to get away from Hikaru, Belia flew under the plasma spark tower. The light energy and light radiation released by the plasma spark tower formed a natural no-fly zone in the outermost layer. Even Belia had to spend a lot of power to fight against the no-fly zone released by the plasma spark tower, so he decided to take the stairs. Just kidding, he is arrogant, but not stupid. Since it takes so much strength to fly up and there is a possibility of being attacked, why don't I climb the stairs in the plasma spark tower easily? Senior Belial. Under the plasma spark tower, Zophie, the first generation and Jack Saneo are wearing cloaks and looking at the old friend in front of them. Zophie looked at him with a complicated expression. Like Ultra Father, the thing he least wanted to happen still happened. You are Zophie? How come you have nasolabial folds when you are old? And what is that on your chest? Do you have prickly heat? Belial said to Zophie, you have asked me for advice many times before. For the sake of our previous fate, I will give you a chance to submit to me. Zophie looked at Belial and said, Senior Belial, you still have a chance to turn back now. Don't make mistakes anymore, okay? Belial was embarrassed and annoyed. MD, why is it so difficult to recruit subordinates by yourself? Don't count on these pedantic guys. They've all been brainwashed by that bastard Kane. Their heads are full of bullshit Ultraman spirit. When the time comes, just go to the monster cemetery and revive 100 monsters. Although they are a little stupid and a little weak, they will soon gain powerful strength under the nourishment of the 100 micro-universes of the Gigafighter. When the time comes, all I have to do is raise my arm and there will be plenty of aliens in the universe who want to join me. Senior Belial, I think you have met Hikari. Zophie said seriously, I have known you for a longer time. Although you have a bad temper and love vanity, I believe that you are willing to fight for justice in your heart. The captain expelled you from the kingdom of light in the hope that you could reflect on your mistakes enough. Belial roared, what have I done wrong? Disregarding the billions of lives of the kingdom of light for personal gain. Isn't this a huge mistake? Zophie's tone also became serious. Senior Belial, where is your ultra spirit? Ultra spirit. Berea roared manically. What is that bullshit Ultra Spirit again? Strength is the most important. Senior Belial, I believe that in your heart you must shut up. Berea jumped up and rushed towards Zoffy Saneo with the Giga fighting device in his hand. Seeing that persuasion failed, Saneo decisively fought back. Perhaps Belial was careless and underestimated the enemy when facing the younger brother who had followed him from Belial's perspective and asked for advice. He rushed directly into the encirclement of the 3AO, and the 3AO took a triangle position to fight Belial together. Vajra subduing circle. The 3AO surrounded Belial in it, waved the Ultra Cloak, and used the cassock to subdue the Devil together, disrupting Belial's vision. For a moment, the cloaks were flying, and it was difficult to distinguish Zoffy, the first generation, and Jack. Even as strong as Belial could not fight 6 hands with 1 stick, especially when the opponent was not only compared with Taro, but also had strength, combat experience, and mentality far beyond Taro, and also had 3 almost identical faces, which made people confused. Who was who? Belia knew that he was careless. He waved the Giga fighting device to force the 3AO away, and escaped from the encirclement of the 3AO at the cost of a punch on his body. He jumped up and chose a nearby building as the battlefield. Belial was grimacing after being punched. He couldn't recognize who had punched him, but it was definitely not Zoffy. The 3 took off their cloaks and quickly chased after him. When Zoffy was about to land, Belial suddenly jumped back, forcing Zoffy to speed up and catch up. The speeding Zoffy and the first generation and Jack behind him pulled away, and the original triangle position of the Diamond Demon Circle was also broken. Belial had rich combat experience. He quickly seized this opportunity and passed by Zoffy in the front. He did not take the opportunity to attack Zoffy, but raised his weapon to attack Jack and the first generation. He had a sharp eye and could see the difference in strength among the 3. Zoffy was the strongest among the 3, while Jack and the first generation were slightly weaker. He was under a lot of pressure facing the 3 at the same time. Only after defeating one of them first, the rest would be easy to deal with. And among the 2 first generations, the best opponent should be the little guy with a bracelet on his wrist. However, that bracelet looks familiar. Chapter 408, Top Team Battle, 8-point light wheel, sparks flash. Belia took advantage of the unstable center of gravity of the first generation and Jack when they landed, and swept across with a stick. The terrifying power carried the light of an unknown skill on the Giga fighting device, and hit the 2Os like a meteor flying at multiple times the speed of sound. Seeing this, the first generation quickly crossed his arms to block the stick. That was enough to cause an 8 magnitude earthquake. The terrifying strange power hit the first generation, and even the first generation, who was the strongest in the Kingdom of Light, couldn't help but feel his arms numb. But the first generation blocked it. This exceeded Belia's expectations. He was going all out. According to his rehearsal, this move was enough to knock both of them down, and then he could take the opportunity to turn around and counterattack Zoffy, but now his attack was blocked. Belia suddenly remembered, isn't this the little fat boy from that year? Exclamation mark. At this moment, Jack made a move, and his left fist attacked with a layer of spiral green light waves, destroying the light. Because of Belial's miscalculation, Jack's move successfully hit Belial's body. The destructive light destroyed the opponent's body at the molecular level with ultra-high frequency vibrations, but Belial's strength was strong enough to resist this destruction. But it hurts. Zoffy has seized the opportunity to counter-attack at this moment, and slashed Belial's neck with an ultra knife, knocking Belial to the ground. Belia rolled out of the secondary encirclement of the 3 people at the fastest speed. Belia held the Giga fighting device in his hand, swung out a sickle light blade, and knocked the trio away. Just as he was about to pursue the victory, he didn't expect another opponent to attack. 7. Ace and Eddie. 7 swung the ice axe, and slashed at Belial. Seeing this, Belial raised his stick to block it, and then a knee strike knocked 7 away. Seeing this, Eddie immediately stepped forward to catch 7 who was flying backwards, but was also carried away by inertia for hundreds of meters. Berea was about to breathe a sigh of relief when a guy holding a light wheel rushed towards him. Fuck. Is this how you use the 8-point light wheel? Berea's eyes have been opened today. He can use the 8-point light wheel, but this is the first time he has seen it used like this. Looking at the opponent's aggressive and murderous appearance, Belia did not dare to resist. God knows how powerful this 8-point light wheel is. Belia raised the Jigger fighting device to block the attack of the 8-point light wheel. Ace raised the 8-point light wheel with one hand and pressed it against Belia's neck desperately. With the other hand, he took the opportunity to use his hand as a weapon and stabbed Belia's armpit fiercely. Belia only felt pain in his left arm, and the Jigger fighting device in his hand almost fell off because of the uneven force on his left and right hands. Afterwards, according to a Mr. Benny who did not want to reveal his name, the damned 8-point light wheel was only 0.01mm away from his neck, and he said that he was a little confused about the newcomers nowadays. Why are they so wild? A blue scientist wearing armor and holding a sword can fight him on equal terms, and another uses the cutting skill of the 8-point light wheel as an electric saw. This thing was clearly thrown. Belia saw that the 8-point light wheel was about to reach his neck, and he actually released a violent purple light from the energy indicator on his chest. Ace, who never expected that Belia could release energy from the energy indicator, was shocked and was blown away by the light. The 8-point light wheel in his hand dissipated. Belia had just avoided the split action, and before he had time to take a breath, he felt a chill on his back. Belia didn't have time to think about it and flew directly upwards without looking back. And when Belia just left that position, a light knife like a sharp blade passed by that position. Belia saw that this thing actually wanted to take advantage of the victory, so he picked up the Jigger fighting machine and hit it! Exclamation mark. The light blade was knocked away and turned into a bracelet and returned to Jack's wrist. Jack looked at the Ultra bracelet with a gap and felt a little distressed. This was a relic left by his father. It had been with him for tens of thousands of years, but now it was broken. Is your father's name Os? Belia saw the light blade, turned into a bracelet, and returned to Jack's hand. Looking at the familiar face, he suddenly remembered an old friend. That's right. Belia cursed in his heart that scientists are all monsters. When the Jigger fighting machine and the bracelet collided just now, a crack was knocked out on the Jigger fighting machine. This is the ultimate weapon of the ultimate life form Brando. How did Os manage to use his own creation to knock out a crack on the Jigger fighting machine and still be unscathed? This thing is so terrifying. If I don't use it, I must not let it go. A blue light shot towards Belia. When Belia saw this light, his spiritual sense was aroused. Without thinking, he turned around and flew away, frantically avoiding this light. What kind of monsters have appeared in the kingdom of light in the tens of thousands of years I have been sleeping? Belia regretted that he should have found a way to defeat them one by one. I never thought that they would be so difficult to deal with after joining forces. Belia looked down at the 5 Ultra brothers, Zoffy, the first generation, Bald 7, Jack, and Ace. Wait a minute. 5. Not good. Belia secretly cried out that it was not good and saw a red and silver ball carrying a terrifying acceleration crashing into him. Seeing this, Belia was relieved. It was too easy to hide from such an attack of this intensity. Just as Belia turned to avoid Eddie's explosive ball, he swung his stick and accurately knocked away 7's ice axe and Jack's spark. That's too much. Belia couldn't help but make the common mistake of villains and complained during the fight. Do you think I didn't notice that you are bald? And you? The bracelet on your hand. Ah, the sparks transformed from the second Ultra bracelet pierced Belia's left rib. This is because Belia reacted instinctively and dodged in time. Otherwise, it would have passed through Belia's head. Belia was shot down, and he really couldn't figure out who had the second Ultra bracelet. He clearly didn't see it. Belia looked in the direction of the sparks with the corner of his eye, and suddenly there was a guy with a red body and double horns on his head. Kane. I can't forgive you. Belia, injured the severe pain, picked up the Jigger fighting device, and rushed towards the 5 Ultra brothers and Eddie. Today is April Fool's Day. Let's guess what joke Deadpool will play on us? Chapter 409. I'm Zeta, Ultraman Zeta, Z. The injured Belia is like a mad lion, an injured lone wolf. His whole fighting style suddenly changed. The Jigger fighting ritual in his hand danced vigorously. The breath on his body turned into a substantial aura field, and even the light of plasma sparks was forcibly suppressed around Belia. Which of the Ultra brothers has not faced countless powerful enemies? Belia's strength is powerful and terrifying, but they are not uncommon. The Emperor Star in the past was much stronger than the current Belia. The 6 Ultras formed a hexagram formation, 3 people in a group, fighting around Belia. It was still a group of 3 people from the first generation, and 7 Ace and Eddie who came, because Taro didn't come, were in one group. The 3-person team of Zedu Ochuji cooperated perfectly and trapped Belia, but the problem was in the second group. 7 and Ace cooperated closely, but Eddie was a little worse. If Taro was here, it would be impossible for Belia not to suffer a big loss, but now it was Eddie. 7, and Ace's cooperation was not as good as Taro's. There were always some flaws in their combos, and there were also some small problems in their positioning. This can be seen from the fact that Eddie didn't have a cloak. This small problem would not be a problem if it was the opponent's monster, but it was not enough for the opponent's top master like Belia who had all attributes at full level. This small flaw was magnified several times in Belia's eyes. After being surrounded and beaten for 2 rounds, Belia seized the opportunity to blow Eddie away with a destructive light bomb, and the entire Ultra Hexagram array was instantly broken. Belia seized this moment and immediately escaped, flew high in the sky, held up the Giga fighting device, and endless purple thunder fell. The 5 Ultras instantly opened the shield. Zoffy took a step to Eddie and released the shield with 7 to help Eddie, who was knocked to the ground, to block this attack. Not good. Eddie was lying on the ground gasping in pain, but his eyes were still on Belia. When he saw the direction Belia flew away, he immediately became anxious. Belia used the electric cage to trap Liuao and flew quickly in one direction. If I remember correctly, Ultra Elementary School should be in this direction. Belia flew along his memory. I hope there won't be any big changes in the Kingdom of Light in these 10,000 years. That's right. After fighting with Liuao for a long time, Belia, who couldn't win, decided to play a dirty trick. Belia soon saw a familiar building and then rushed in with a fierce stab. In a classroom, he really found what he wanted, a group of children. Belia, stay away from my students. Eddie didn't even have time to take care of his injuries and followed Belia's flight path back to Ultra Elementary School. A group of children looked at the guy in front of them with horror. Teacher Eddie had only been out for a few minutes, so how could such a scary guy come? Yes, although the previous battle was fierce, because everyone was a master, the speed of attack could not be fast, and the previous battle only took 3 minutes. Teacher Eddie. A group of children saw their beloved Teacher Eddie appear in front of them with serious injuries, and they all cried. Don't be afraid. The teacher will protect you. The Ultra brothers are here too. Don't be afraid. As soon as the voice fell, the other 5 Ultra brothers also rushed over. It was not that they were slow, but they were worried that their student Eddie flew too fast. Belia, let's talk nicely. They are all children. Looking at Belia standing in front of a group of children, the Ultra brothers did not dare to move, for fear of irritating Belia and letting this madman cause harm to the children. Belia laughed when he heard this. Listen to me, Belia. Zoffy said to Belia, let's talk it out. If we want to fight, let's go out and fight. I believe that as the most powerful warrior in the Kingdom of Light, you will definitely not attack a group of unarmed children, right? Belia nodded with satisfaction and said, yes, I'm the most powerful warrior. In that case, let's go out and fight. How about it? You can fight like this. Belia suddenly said, Zoffy, I remember you have learned a lot of moves, right? Yes. Okay. Belia grabbed a little child, pinched his neck and said, today, I will teach you a move. You can use all means to win. Zeta. Ace looked at Zeta in Belia's hand. His body couldn't help shaking, but he didn't dare to step forward. Screening room. At this moment, the screening room has exploded, and everyone's attention has long been no longer on the fact that Hikari is a scientist, but a super fighter. 3,000 years of compulsory education in the Land of Light has produced such a thing. Hikari's hands trembled with anger, and his chest kept rising and falling. He also knew what Belia did. At first, Hikari just thought that Belia was just a poor man who was blinded by power, but now it seems that the appearance of such a thing in the Land of Light is a shame. Shame among shames. 3,000 years of compulsory education. How could such a shameful thing be taught? Baba is just like that. Hickory made up his mind that when he returned, he would practice swordsmanship hard and must be stronger than the Hickory in the show. If Billy dared to appear in front of him, he would chop him with a sword. No. When he returned, he would strengthen the protection settings of the space prison. Even if the Unpolar people came, they would not be able to rescue Billy. Land of Light. Seeing that Billy was so shameless that he kidnapped children as bargaining chips, the anger in his heart burned. Before this, the attitudes of the AO towards Billy were different, but now, the AO had completely lost his good impression of the Billy on the screen. When monsters fight, they all know to avoid nests and not to hurt their cubs or eggs. After all, you, Billy, were once a warrior second only to Ultra Father, a hero in the hearts of many residents of the Land of Light. Now you are actually kidnapping children as hostages. You don't want to lose face, right? Ultra Father was the most shocked by this. He has always recognized Billy as a friend. Even when Billy was imprisoned in the space prison, he often visited him. Although Billy's soul was suppressed, the other party had no idea that he had visited him. He also had expectations for Billy, hoping that one day he would be able to defeat the soul of Rebrand in his body and become the warrior who had a bad temper and was a little arrogant, but had justice in his heart. However, if the Billy in his own world also becomes the Billy on the screen, then he must send his friend on his way. Chapter 410 Eddie, no one can hurt my students. Even Tregia felt that Billy was too ungentlemanly in doing this. He couldn't win. No, he didn't even lose. He just fell into a slight disadvantage. He just took those kids as hostages. Even if we don't mention the Ultra Spirit, don't you even have a bit of honor as a warrior? The video continues. Billy pinched a silly kid, making the Ultraman hesitate. Zeta. Billy discovered Ace's abnormality. Although he didn't know what their relationship was, they seemed to be very close. Yes, the kid who used the 8-point light wheel as a chainsaw. Billy stared at Zeta carefully, a little curious about why this kid had black patterns on his body and why his eyes were diamond contact lenses, but he quickly retracted his thoughts, pointed at Ace with the Giga Fighter and said, "Kowtow to me 3 times, and I will let this little bastard go." Okay. Ace agreed without hesitation. Brother Ace, don't kneel. Zeta was furious when he saw that the person he admired the most was going to kneel down for him. A force surged from his heart. Billy was watching with great interest that the guy who dared to saw his neck with the 8-point light wheel was going to kneel down for him. As a result, the silly boy in his hands suddenly burst out with a force and shook his hands away. Look carefully. Ace didn't kneel. I am Zeta, Ultraman. The blue light curtain on Zeta's body actually shook Billy, who was caught off guard, back a step. Ace was fully focused, and his heart was on Zeta. Seeing Zeta fall off Billy's hand, Ace happened to maintain a half-squatting posture. In this situation, Ace pushed off the ground with both feet and sprinted without thinking. He burst out with the fastest speed in his life and protected Zeta in his arms, holding Zeta tightly. Boom. Seeing this, Eddie on the other side rushed towards Billy. Billy reacted and quickly released a dark shock from his body to shake Eddie away, but Eddie completely ignored the injuries caused by the dark shock, rushed to Billy, picked up Billy, and flew into the sky. All this happened in an instant. Eddie flew up with Billy, and the explosion of the dark shock was just started at this moment. The remaining 4 Ultramen quickly opened the Ultra barrier to protect the child, and then followed the hole created by Eddie and Billy. Good job, Zeta. After handing the unconscious Zeta to the teacher of the first group, Ace turned around and flew away. Eddie pushed Billy all the way to the atmosphere, and no matter how he attacked, he refused to let go. The disadvantage of the Giga fighting device appeared. That is, it is really not advantageous in close combat, which is also the disadvantage of long weapons. But Billy also has a pair of extremely sharp claws. Belial directly inserted his claws into Eddie's back. As the energy in Billy's body flowed, the red and black electric current raged in Eddie's body. But even so, Eddie did not let go. There was only one thing in his mind, that is, to stay farther away, and take this madman away from his students. Absolutely, I can't let you hurt my students. Screening room. Eddie is a respectable and good teacher. looking at Eddie, who was willing to sacrifice himself for his students on the screen. Everyone felt respect in their hearts. Good teachers are rare, and good teachers like Eddie are even rarer. If you meet one, it can only be said that it is a blessing from the previous life. If he is an earthling, I think Charles will definitely hire him to teach in the school. Magneto also said for the first time, it doesn't matter if he is not a mutant. Even if I am, I will never refuse to have such a teacher in our school. Peter instinctively compared Eddie with a group of teachers in his school. Forget it, people will die if they compare people, and goods will be thrown away if they compare goods. Demon hell. As the saying goes, there are all kinds of people in this world. When this scope is expanded a little, there are all kinds of life. In this case, no matter how reasonable the reason is, there will always be someone who stands up and holds an opposing opinion. Zimu, remember this. Zealand said lightly, if you fight against humans in the future, you can use human cubs as threats. Write it down. Zimu didn't know when a notebook appeared in his hand. It looked like the spoils brought by the gate to another world. There were black magic words written on it, which were the words of the demons. The video continues. The AO flew up, but what they welcomed was Eddie, who had lost his will, and even signs of life. Jack hugged Eddie and turned his head to fly away. And the three of Chu, Zeduo and Say, this is to fight with Belia with full of anger. 7 threw out the ice axe with obvious cracks, to prepare for the attack of his two brothers in advance. Facing the ice axe, Belia had to use the Jigger combat device to knock it away, and at this time, the attacks of the first generation and Zoffy came at the same time. Zoffy's jab forced Belia to raise his hand for defense, but at this moment, the first generation suddenly hit Belia's stomach with 2 hand knives. Compared to Taro's previous hand knives, that were soft and cotton-like to Belia, the first generation's hand knives were like 2 hand knives made of pidanium alloy. After the 2 Austrians attacked with all their strength, Belia was suppressed for a while, and his stomach was hit and hurt. 7 has been flying around looking for opportunities. After a brief fight with Belia, 7 realized that he was definitely not the main force in this battle. Belia's attack power is too strong. If he uses his body to resist, only Madison can resist it. Even Brother Zoffy, whose physical fitness is second only to Madison, may not be able to fight Belia head-on. But Brother Zoffy has the strongest light of the Kingdom of Light, the M87 light, and his strongest weapon, the ice axe, has been beaten to pieces, so 7 decided to play to his advantage and fight back. A terrifying energy flow gathered behind 7. 7 didn't even need to think to know who it was, but 7 didn't fall. Instead, he rushed towards Belia. Only at the last moment, when he was about to be in Belia's attack range, did he drift away and make room for Ace behind him. A pure white terrifying light blade flew towards Belia. It was Ace's ultimate move, Ultra Forbidden Technique, Ultra Guillotine. Belial instinctively wanted to dodge, but was clamped tightly by the first generation beside him. Seeing this, Belial suddenly sneered. Teacher Eddie really brought a great impact. Chapter 411. Belia, who had held back, and Zoffy, were defeated. Belial's laughter reached the ears of the first generation, which gave the first generation a bad feeling. Sure enough, because he was clamped by the first generation, and could not dodge, Belial actually used the Jigger fighting device to block the Ultra Forbidden Technique, Ultra Guillotine. The Jigger fighting device seemed to have unlocked some seal, releasing overwhelming energy currents from the 100 micro-universes at the upper and lower ends. The first generation closest to Belial was the first to suffer. While being burned by the black flames burning on Belial's body, he was also electrocuted. Belial took this opportunity to pull the first generation off his body and hit him with a stick of the Jigger fighting device. 7 was hit by the aftermath of the attack and fell with the first generation with a scream. Ace saw this and used the Ultra Barrier, but he gradually became powerless in the face of the overwhelming attack. Just then, a figure blocked Ace. Brother Zoffy. Ace. Save 7 and man. I'm here. Yes. Zoffy Barrier. A huge barrier blocked all of Belia's attacks. After Belia retracted his attack, Zoffy immediately distanced himself from Belia and accumulated energy to enlarge. M87 beam. The Azure Blue beam attacked Belia again. This time, unlike the previous M871 with insufficient power, this was a full-strength M87, enough to shatter the stars. Idiot. For some reason, Belia suddenly cursed angrily. You could have sneak attacked, but you jumped in front of me to prevent accidental injury to friendly forces and to help that chainsaw kid block damage. Cinema. Beria's mood is a little abnormal. Bruce Wayne said, no, he seems to be angry about Zoffy and his selfless behavior and behavior. Does he hate this behavior? Demon hell. Even the demons were very surprised. When faced with the self-sacrificing spirit of a group of Ultra Warriors, they just felt ridiculous, but not angry. Logan, I always feel that Belia's emotional reaction is not very reasonable. Holy Lord, it is normal to feel ridiculous and contemptuous, but I can't understand why he is angry. Loki Odinson, well, stupid mortals, inferior demons, let the great god of trickery guide you. Loki Odinson, the reason why that guy's angry is because he is anxious. The reason why Zoffy and others' actions made him unhappy is that when narrow-minded people feel ashamed in front of some people who are far superior to themselves, they will instinctively get angry. That guy was obviously stimulated by the stupid self-sacrificing spirit of the Ultra Warriors, so the mental fluctuations are so strong. Loki Odinson, see, this is the wisdom of the god of trickery. Bruce Wayne nodded and said, I have to admit that as of now, Belia is anxious. Because the light of others is too dazzling, making their own people seem small, they are so angry that they can only find ways to slander and belittle them. Because only by pulling others to the same level as themselves, and everyone acting as bad people together, can they feel comfortable. The image continues. However, when Belia saw Zoffy's M87 light, he laughed strangely, and did not dodge or evade. He even rushed directly towards the light energy. He waved the ultimate fighting device in his hand, forming a shield in front of him, completely blocking the light energy, and rushed up against Zoffy's light energy, and then kicked Zoffy hard in the chest. Zoffy had never expected that his opponent would dare to resist his strongest killer move, and successfully counter-attack him. He was caught off guard. The power of Belia's kick was surprisingly strong. He kicked Zoffy's chest directly, making him scream in pain, and Belia continued to fall hard. Their current battlefield is in mid-air, even close to the atmosphere. Now the power of Belia's flying kick plus the power of the rapid fall makes the power of his kick continue to increase. Boom. Just like that, Belial stepped on Zoffy's chest and landed heavily on the crystal cast ground, shaking the ground to a spider web-like large crack. The crack spread for several kilometers. With Zoffy as the origin, everything within a radius of 1000 meters was flattened by this terrifying shockwave. It can be seen how powerful the impact was this time. Belial's kick sank deeply into Zoffy's chest. Zoffy's entire chest was almost kicked through by Belial. The whole person went hundreds of meters deep underground under Belial's kick. A large area of the Kingdom of Light was triggered by a super large earthquake. That is, the buildings in the Kingdom of Light were strong enough to allow most of the buildings to survive this earthquake. Zoffy struggled weakly, tilted his head, and fainted. Captain of the Space Guard. Possessing the most powerful strength of the entire Space Guard. The eldest brother of the Ultra Brothers. An older warm man with both gentleness and strength. Ultraman Zoffy. Defeat. Ha 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 ha. Seeing the peaceful and beautiful city turned into ruins under his destruction, the whole city was shaking with fear, and Belia laughed wildly. Finally I feel comfortable. Why didn't I feel that the light of this city was so dazzling before? Belia possessed Zoffy and said, the last lesson, always remember to keep a hand. You didn't expect that the Giga fighting device can withstand all light attacks. Okay Zoffy. Belia raised the Giga fighting device. Goodbye. Belia. Stop. Are you done yet? Belia blocked Jack, who came with a stick. Jack took the opportunity to kick Zoffy out of the battle circle, and then took a fighting posture, looking at the strongest enemy in history that he was facing directly in front of him. Belia. Get out of my way. It took 6 Ultra Warriors to barely suppress Belia. Now there is only Jack left, and he can't fight anymore. Jack touched the scarred Ultra bracelet on his hand and said, old buddy, fight with me again. The Ultra bracelet sparkled, and the Ultra spear appeared in Jack's hand. At this moment, the Ultra Spear was also scarred and tattered, but it seemed as if it felt Jack's fighting spirit, and it burst out with unprecedented light. Brother Jack. Jack. I'll help you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412, Meeting of Old Friends, Warrior's Original Aspiration. The light wheel arrived before the person arrived. Ace landed next to Jack, and the other one was Hickory wearing the armor of courage. I'm so sorry, because there was a big problem with the energy system of the Science and Technology Bureau. I had to spend a little more time. Hickory stood beside Jack with a lightsaber in hand, and fought the enemy together. It's okay, let's go together. You damn bugs. I'm going to be serious, get out of my way. Belia said angrily, and was blocked again and again. Belia's painful self-esteem was hurt by his eyes. Give up, Belia. The Kingdom of Light is protected by us. We will never retreat, because there is a plasma spark tower behind us. And me, Belia. It turned out to be Taro. Taro was like an immortal cockroach, dragging his wounded body to the battlefield again. You are such a lunatic. Belial turned around and attacked Taro, wanting to get rid of this annoying guy who was as sticky as a sticky candy first. But at this moment, Hickory attacked first and slashed at Belia with a sword. Belia was forced to give up attacking Taro, turned around and used the front end of the Giga Fighter to pick up Hickory's lightsaber, turned around and hit Jack holding the Ultra Spear with a heavy blow, and finally picked up Ace with a stick. Ace quietly accumulated power while spinning and flying backwards, and the moment he landed, he aimed at Belia's direction and released the Ultra Guillotine. But the flying speed of the Ultra Guillotine was still too slow. Ace, who wanted to catch Belia off guard by the difference in perspective, didn't expect that Belia actually had eyes on the back of his head and could still dodge the Ultra Guillotine in this situation. The three saw that this was not going to work, so they immediately gathered around Taro. Jack said, let's use the combined beam. Once the beam skills are combined, the superposition of power is never as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, but it increases exponentially. Moreover, 2 of the 4 offs are good at beams. Among them, Ace is even called the King of Light, and the ultra hole on his head makes his energy bar naturally twice that of others. The 4 offs immediately launched the most powerful beam skill attacks: Metrim Beam, Golden Specium, Stream Beam, and Life Vaporization Technology. Ace, Jack, Taro and Hickory's beam skills immediately converged as soon as they were launched. Jack's Golden Specium and Taro's Stream Beam are in the middle, and Metrim and Night Beams are on the left and right. But Jack is not Zoffy after all. He does not have Zoffy's powerful combat command ability to judge and balance the fusion of 4 beams of different powers, nor does he have the ability of M87, the strongest beam of the Kingdom of Light, to directly force the fusion of the other 3 beams. Under Jack's command, a powerful combined light attacked Belia, full of loopholes. Belia immediately used the ultimate battle device to block in front of himself. Belia could see at a glance that the fusion of this combined light was not perfect. Although the power was indeed increased, it was not perfect in terms of stability. The 4 kinds of light had different powers. Among them, Kane's son was seriously injured. He still didn't understand how this kid had the strength to attack him. However, the imperfect combined light is a bomb. Belia seized this opportunity and released a burst of energy from the Giga fighting device in his hand, directly detonating the combined light in the opposite direction. A more powerful light energy directly counterattacked along the original path. When Jack saw it, he immediately forced the Ultra Bracelet to turn into an Ultra Shield and block the 3 Ultras. Ace opened the Ultra Barrier next to the Ultra Shield and turned his body into a second shield. The anti-combination beam collided with Jack and Ace's defense, and the entire plasma spark tower began to shake under the influence of the energy explosion. Even Belia was a little worried that the plasma spark core would not be affected by this attack. It would explode. If that thing exploded, Belia himself had no confidence that he could survive. The first line of defense formed by Jack and Ace collapsed quickly, and the two O's were blown away by the energy torrent on the spot, followed by Hikari who was blocking Taro. The brave armor seemed a little inadequate under this level of attack. Hikari even felt that he was facing the full force of Emperor at that time. The huge energy exploded, and the three O's were directly blown away, and fainted on the spot. As the best protected one, Taro was not much better. He had already been seriously injured and held back his internal injuries when the beam was forcibly interrupted. Now he was blown away by the energy torrent and didn't even have the strength to stand up. Beria, don't go. Beria was shocked by Taro's spirit. Is this kid crazy? But he was more concerned about the energy just now. It was the energy of his old friend. Belia looked up and saw a charming light emanating from the top of the tower. That was what he was looking for. Next to that thing, there was a familiar figure. Ha 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 ha. Brat, I'll come back to see you after I deal with Kane. Beria ran all the way down the stairs and soon reached the top floor of the plasma spark tower. The plasma spark energy source kept emitting charming light. His eyes were full of greed. He slowly approached and looked at the plasma spark tower in front of him. He said excitedly, ha ha ha, I won't be polite this time. Just when Belia was about to reach out and take the plasma spark energy source, a strong and powerful hand suddenly grabbed his wrist. Don't make the mistake on top of the mistake. Old friend. Get out of my way. Ultra Father looked at the old friend in front of him and scolded with an unpleasant face. Beria, you have lost the spirit of an Ultra Warrior. What a bullshit Ultra Warrior spirit. Belia said disdainfully. It was lost tens of thousands of years ago. Now I just want the most powerful force in the universe. I heard everything you did in the Kingdom of Light. Do you still remember the child you saved that year? Ultra Father said, it was Caesar. He once vowed to learn from you who saved him and become an outstanding Ultra Warrior. He is now an outstanding warrior. And you actually took an innocent child hostage. Those who achieve great things do not care about trivial matters. Kane, you are old. The Kingdom of Light will only become dying and old under your leadership. Only I can lead the Kingdom of Light back on the right track. Beria. Do you still remember your original intention of becoming a warrior? Ultra Father flung his cape and took a fighting stance. Original intention? Of course I remember. That's for power. Kane. The Kingdom of Light needs someone more ambitious to rule. Beria roared and rushed towards Ultra Father. He knew that if he didn't defeat Ultra Father, he would not be able to take the plasma spark tower. Moreover, he wanted to prove that he was stronger than the other party. He is the strongest. Beria waved the Giga fighting device and attacked Ultra Father. Ultra Father dodged Belia's Giga fighting device with a shake, and then pushed Belia's chest with a palm, and knocked Belia dozens of meters away with his bare hands. Beria felt that his chest hurt, as if he had been hammered by 100 Red Kings for 3 days and 3 nights. He looked at Ultra Father in disbelief, and saw that Ultra Father had a calm expression on his face. It was obvious that it was just a casual attack from him. MMP, how can this bastard Ken be so strong? The school is closed, and the price of vegetables has increased. Chapter 413. Even the dazzling light cannot resist people's malice. Yes. It must be because the plasma spark tower has been monopolized by this guy Ken for the tens of thousands of years that I have been sleeping. His strength is not as good as mine. He is only barely stronger than me because he has monopolized the plasma spark tower for tens of thousands of years. Exclamation mark. You drove me out of the land of light in order to monopolize the plasma spark energy source, right? Ken. Belia pointed at Ultra Father with the Giga fighter in one hand and said, if you drive me out of the land of light, you will be the strongest. Then you can monopolize the plasma spark energy source and become the strongest in the land of light. You can also take the position of the captain of the space guard and the women I like will all become yours. Right? Ken. In this way, fame, status, women, and power are all yours. You took away everything from me. Ultra Father's body trembled. He didn't expect that in the eyes of his good friend, brother who shared life and death, and comrade in arms, he would be like this. I just did what I was supposed to do. The plasma spark source is the source of life for all residents of the Kingdom of Light. Even the slightest problem will lead to a big disaster. You know this well, Belia. Shut up. Facing the somewhat exasperated Belia, Ultra Father felt very uncomfortable. Although Belia had a lot of problems, he was still his childhood friend and comrade in arms who had experienced life and death together. At least that was the case in Ultra Father's eyes. When someone important to him said this to him, Ultra Father's heart felt as if it had been stabbed hard by Emperor with the Emperor blade. He is the son of the Kingdom of Light. In the darkest era of the Kingdom of Light, he was alone and almost single-handedly blocked countless foreign enemies. He protected the young Kingdom of Light through the most dangerous time at the cost of his own potential and future height. Now Ultra Father is old, his children have grown up, and it is time for him to take care of his old age. But his former partner suddenly appeared and said this to himself. Ultra Father suppressed his grief and issued a final warning to Belia. Belia, this is the last warning. Surrender. Don't make any more mistakes. I believe that, as long as you are dreaming. No, you are talking nonsense. Belia once again attacked Ultra Father with the Giga fighting device in his hand. This time, Ultra Father did not let him go. Belia went all out, and even with the blessing of anger, the Giga fighting device's heavy blow, which was slightly increased in power, was blocked by Ultra Father with his bare hands. The blow that contained the power of 100 small universes, and could break a planet apart with just its strength was easily caught by Ultra Father with one hand. Belia was knocked back hundreds of meters away, looking at Kane in disbelief. Ultra Father easily dodged or blocked Belia's continuous attacks, and then pulled Belia away. Ultra Father wanted to kick Belia away, but after a brief thought, he chose to get close to Belia, elbowed Belia, and then hit him with a heavy punch and a liver blasting punch. Belia was stunned by the punch, holding his liver and retreating violently, gasping for 3 to 5 seconds before recovering. You bastard. This is my power, you thief. Belia. At this moment, even Kane, who had a good temper, could no longer bear it. Facing the attacking Belia, Kane grabbed the Giga fighter with one hand, and with the other hand, he turned his fist into a palm and pushed Belia to the wall of the plasma spark tower with one palm. Belia crashed into the wall of the plasma spark tower. The outer wall of the plasma spark tower, which was made of the hardest material in the Kingdom of Light, was now cracked. Ultra Father's anger was enough to blow up a star with one punch. Belia was stunned. This was too strong. Belia felt that, if Kane went all out, he would be able to kill himself alive without using light skills. Impossible. I'm the strongest. These powers should be mine. Thinking of how strong he could have become, Belia's anger rose in his heart, and he once again killed Ultra Father. Kane threw the Giga fighting device down, and went forward to fight with Belia. Moves, strength, skills, agility. Belia couldn't do any of them. Belia, who had previously completely suppressed the Ultra Brothers, was completely suppressed by Ultra Father during the entire battle. Belia. Ultra Father moved sideways to Belia, grabbed Belia's left arm, raised his hand, and then punched Belia's left arm joint. But before the fist landed on Belia's joint, Ultra Father changed his fist into a palm and pushed Belia's left arm joint hard. Belia screamed, and he felt that his arm was about to break. Ultra Father finally held back, but even if he let go appropriately, Belia was no match for Ultra Father. Listen to me, Belia. Ultra Father looked at Belia and said, I have a clear conscience for everything I have done, and you have been wrong for too long. I'm sorry, I must pull you back from the wrong path. Even if I have to beat you up. Ultra Father punched Belia on the left shoulder, and half of Belia's body completely lost the ability to move. Belia was completely beaten by Ultra Father, and fell to the ground. His left arm had completely lost consciousness. Not to mention attacking, he couldn't even move. I was wrong. Kane. I was wrong. Forgive me. Don't kill me. Belia begged for mercy from Ultra Father with horror. I won't kill you, Belia. Seeing this, Ultra Father sighed and said, at the beginning, Baba and Magma asked me for mercy and I agreed, but you killed them. The Giga fighting device actually broke the space at this moment, and hit Ultra Father's kidney from the space crack. Ultra Father knelt on the ground in pain. This was his old wound. It was an incurable wound, left when he fought against Starman Emperor. Even after tens of thousands of years, this wound would recur from time to time. Emperor's sword not only left an indelible wound on Ultra Father, but also cut off Ultra Father's upper limit, while also cutting off Ultra Father's lower limit. Emperor's sword not only made Ultra Father unable to improve his strength for life, but also made Ultra Father's lower limit drop a lot. When fighting, he needs to pay attention to his wounds all the time, and not be hit. But Billia has no martial ethics at all. His Giga fighting device not only sneaks up, but also sneaks up on Ultra Father's old wound. Ha 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 ha. Seeing this, Belial raised the Giga fighting machine with one hand and laughed wantonly. Kane, I didn't expect that your injuries have not healed after 10,000 years. God is really helping me. Belial drooped one arm, and the Giga fighting machine released the most powerful energy attack, while repairing Belial's injuries. At this moment, Belial was determined to kill Ultra Father completely. Chapter 414 Special Guest, Ultraman Kane. Ultra Father had been holding back before. Bruce Wayne looked at Ultra Father, who was injured by Billia on the screen, and analyzed the previous fight between the two from the perspective of fighting. Bruce Wayne, Ultra Father was holding back a lot. He was fully capable of killing Billia directly. The gap between Billia and Ultra Father was really too big, even bigger than the gap between Billia and Taro before. Bruce Wayne, it can be seen from the fact that Ultra Father was able to push Billia to the wall of the Plasma Spark Tower with one palm, that Ultra Father had been holding back in the previous fights. And from what Billia said, the relationship between them was very special. Billia should have been Ultra Father's close comrade in arms. The Kingdom of Light. Ultra Father looked at the distorted Billia on the screen, and finally sighed. Is his old friend really hopeless? Hello, Ultra Father. Screening room. The Ultras looked at the small screen that suddenly appeared in front of Ultra Father, a little puzzled. The screening room would like to invite you to be the special guest commentator for this screening of Ultra Galaxy Legend. Would you like to accept? It is my honor. The screening room activates the guest invitation function. The special guest for this screening, Captain of the Space Guard, Ultra Father, Taro's father, Tiger's master, the owner of the true power, the owner of the Ultra Sword Ultimate Sword, and the lover of Ultraman Mary, Kane, enters the live broadcast room. Guang, Captain, Ultra Father, I didn't expect to be invited by the screening room to be the special guest commentator. It is my honor. Captain America, Mr. Kane is the only one who understands the battle between the two people on the screen the most. Ultra Father, if possible, I would rather not have to comment. Ultra Father, I did let it go on the screen. Maybe I was still unwilling to attack Billia. Before this, if I were to do it, I would not kill Billia, but I didn't expect that Billia had become like this. Ultra Father, Billia is my comrade in arms. We grew up together and fought together. Later, Billia was expelled from the country because he touched the plasma spark source. Ultra Father, you have all seen the importance of plasma sparks. For the residents of the Land of Light, this is the source of life. There must be no problems at all. Ultra Father, at that time, we just hoped that Billia would go out and calm down for tens of thousands of years. When Billia realized his mistakes, we would welcome him back. But we didn't expect Billia to be possessed by the Rebrando star. The evil Billia was beaten back to the Land of Light. At that time, my injuries had not been suppressed yet, and it happened that my injuries recurred. I also had difficulty suppressing Billia, who was possessed by Rebrando. Thanks to the king's action, Billia, who was possessed by Rebrando, was not allowed to snatch the plasma spark energy source. Ultra Father, unexpectedly, after tens of thousands of years, after suppressing Rebrando's soul, Billia's soul was actually polluted by Rebrando and turned into that. Bruce Wayne, excuse me, you were going to kick me in the previous punch. Ultra Father, human, I didn't expect you to see that. Yes, I was going to kick. Ultra Father, I once said that Hickory is too delicate as a warrior. Actually, now it seems that I have the same problem when facing Billia. Captain America, the place where Billia's Giga fighting device touched you is your old wound. Ultra Father, yes, that was the scar left when I fought against the Emperor Starman. The special nature of the Emperor Blade means that I will never be able to heal that place. Maybe what Billia said is right. I'm indeed old, but I will still fight to protect this universe and the Kingdom of Light. Loki Odinson, to put it bluntly, you are still soft-hearted. I think Belia did a good job in this regard. When facing the enemy, you should kill them all! Exclamation mark. Just like me, I killed all the Dark Elves. Ultra Father, you have to give people a chance to reform, but if Belia from our universe escapes, I will capture him directly and will never show mercy. Bruce Wayne, I analyzed your tactics. The biggest problem is that you underestimated Belia's strength. From the perspective of hard power, only you, Mr. Kane, have the strength to defeat Belia in a one-on-one fight. No other warrior who has appeared has the strength to defeat Belia. If they join forces, the problem of the 6 AOS fighting Belia will appear before, and there will be flaws in the cooperation. Ultra Father, Belia has a strong fighting talent. There was still a flaw in the cooperation between Eddie, Ace and Seven before. Belia sees this flaw and won. And Taro, the child, still needs to be tempered. Ultra Father side. In the Kingdom of Light, it was Zoffy who took over his burden, and only Zoffy. No one else can do it. Taro is even worse. Still need to practice. Ultra Father's eyes narrowed, and he decided to arrange a set of Shower Classic special training for Taro, so that Taro could recall his childhood. The video continues. Faced with the full force of the Giga fighting machine, Ultra Father, whose already unstable injuries were completely relapsed due to the Giga fighting machine, had no time to dodge, and could only fight with his hands crossed. But although this move could not cause a fatal effect and end times damage to the Ultra clan like the Rosalem Ray, its power was far greater than that of ordinary ray attacks. The terrifying energy swept through Ultra Father's body. Under Belia's control, this energy rushed madly towards the location of Ultra Father's old injury, causing Ultra Father, who was already seriously injured, to suffer even more injuries. Finally, the invincible Ultra Father fell. Ha 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 ha. Belia laughed excitedly. I won. Kane. See? I'm the strongest. I'm much stronger than you. Everything you have now was originally mine. Belia was numb when he heard this voice. He knew without looking that Kane's stupid son came again. You are looking for death, aren't you? Belia didn't even look at Taro, and walked towards the top of the plasma spark tower without looking back. Boy, I changed my mind. I won't kill you and your father. I want you and your son to die in regret and fear. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 415, Leonix of Earth. Plasma Spark, powerful power. Your master is back. This time, I will take the lead. Belia said as he pulled the Plasma Spark energy source off the base. Looking at the charming halo of the Plasma Spark energy source, and feeling the powerful power inside, Belia laughed wildly, and raised the Plasma Spark energy source high, announcing his victory. Ha ha ha, it's finally mine. This powerful power, only a strong man like me deserves it. And at the moment, when Belia pulled out the Plasma Spark energy source, the entire Kingdom of Light lost its only source of light and heat. The entire huge city instantly fell into endless darkness and cold. This cold was not ordinary cold, but instantly reached a level close to absolute zero. The ultra-low cold breath was like a huge beast, instantly engulfing the entire city. Those Ultramen who were still running for their lives and looking for places to hide were caught up by the cold air and instantly turned into living ice sculptures. Through the layer of ice, you can still see the terrified expressions on their faces. Even some Ultramen who wanted to fly to a safe place at the fastest speed were also caught up by the rapidly expanding icy breath and were directly frozen into ice sculptures in the air. Ace, Jack, and Hikaru at the bottom of the Plasma Spark Tower were instantly frozen into ice sculptures at this moment and lost their ability to move. At the Silver Crusaders headquarters, Mother Ultra and Princess Julian, who were fully treating Zoffy and Eddie, suddenly changed their expressions and released an ultra barrier against Zoffy and Eddie while the cold air was hitting them. Seeing this, the first generation and Seven, who were the least injured among the Ultra brothers, immediately took a few warriors to hide in front of a slightly safer building and released the ultra barrier to block the endless cold air. Seeing that the entire Kingdom of Light was about to be completely frozen, and looking at Ultra Father and Taro who were barely supporting themselves, Belia smiled triumphantly and said, I'll let you go, leaving you two lives here to bid farewell to the Kingdom of Light. Haha, see you later. After saying that, Belia took the Plasma Spark Tower and flew away. I want to protect the last light of the Kingdom of Light. Taro ran to the base of the plasma spark energy source and once again tried his best to activate the Ultra Bomb. He was burning with flames all over his body, guarding the last ray of light. Kingdom of Light, let me protect you. Ultra Star will definitely be resurrected. Before that, let me guard this last ray of light. Taro burned himself and used his body to protect the last ray of light. The boundless cold swallowed his body, but it could not swallow up his blazing heart of justice at that moment. Father of Ultra did not speak, but he looked at his son and said with relief, Taro, my child, you have grown up. As the voice fell, Father of Ultra was also frozen. Moebius was thrown into space by Belia in the battle with Belia. He was still bound by the light rope. He struggled but could not break free. Moebius controlled his body and flew towards the Kingdom of Light while using light energy to wear out the rope. Only a few minutes later, Moebius had not untied the rope yet and suddenly saw Belia flying away with a glowing object. Moebius felt that things were a bit bad, but the biggest function of this broken rope was to limit the ability to move when he was bound. He could only get closer to the Kingdom of Light little by little through water grinding. When he got close to the gravity circle of the Kingdom of Light, he could quickly land on the Kingdom of Light. But at this time, the Kingdom of Light had changed a lot. It became abnormally cold and dark. There was no sound around, as if it was a dead place. The entire Kingdom of Light had lost its light. Will the light of the plasma spark tower go out and cause a cold snap? Hikari looked at the frozen land of light on the screen and said, it seems that the land of light in that world is indeed different from ours. I once predicted that the scene after the light of the plasma spark tower went out would not be like that. Ace, it seems that this is where the combat power of the land of light in that world is different from ours. Ultra Father, although the strength is different, the Ultra Spirit of that world is the same as ours. That's enough. As for Belia, if he really escapes, then I will personally arrest him and bring him to justice. Ultra Father, even if it is Belia on the screen, I have the confidence to defeat him in full armor. Land of Light. The Ultras were a little surprised to hear what Ultra Father said. They saw how strong Belia on the screen was. Very strong. So strong that it was terrifying. Father Ultra said to the other Ultraman, don't forget, I'm unarmed on the screen. After Father Ultra's brief reminder, the other Ultraman reacted instantly. Yes, Father Ultra on the screen, lost because he was unarmed and careless. Now that we know some of the effects of the Giga Fighting Device's skills, if Father Ultra takes the artifacts of the Kingdom of Light, won't he just kill them all? Father Ultra has the right to use all the artifacts of the Kingdom of Light, including the Ultra Key that can explode a star with one strike, the Ultra Sword Ultimate Blade that is comparable to the Blade of Emperor, the Ultra Bell with endless energy and miracle power, and the Ultra Dumbbell that Father Ultra often uses. Even Moebius's Moebius was given by Father Ultra. Again, Father Ultra can hang Belia up and beat him when he is serious. Video continues. Moebius returns to the Kingdom of Light and looks for the Ultraman who has not been frozen yet, but he can't find anyone. Moebius. At this time, Seven's voice suddenly sounded in Moebius's ears. Brother Seven, are you alright? Moebius asked hurriedly. We don't have much time. The voice of the first generation also sounded in Moebius' ears, with some helplessness and urgency in the voice. Is there really no way to defeat that guy? Moebius asked. We can't defeat that guy by our own strength. However, the first generation changed the subject and continued, if he is here, we can definitely win the battle. After hearing the words of the first generation, Moebius' eyes lit up and asked hurriedly, it's Leonix, an Earthling who has the same genetic genes as Belia. Leonix? Yes, he has the blood of the Rebrand Star and the ability to control monsters. If he is here, he may help us defeat Belia. So where is he now? Moebius asked excitedly. After thinking for a long time, I still didn't write the plot of Mother of Ultra, because according to my version of Leoberry, who knows what Mother of Ultra will do when she appears. Chapter 416 The Power of Rebrando. Land of Light. An Earthlianix with the same Rebrand bloodline as Belia. The first generation said, while looking at the screen, from what I heard, I should be familiar with him, and it was during that time period. 10,000 years later, it's still a bit far away. Image continues. In the outer space, a blue and white spaceship is sailing fast. This is the Panlang. The Leonix that Ultraman Mebius is looking for is in this ship. Cosmic Panlong, please answer if you hear me. A young man appeared in the camera. Everyone was very happy to see their old friend. The captain of Panlong said happily, Musashi, long time no see. Hinata senpai, you're still so energetic. Musashi said, Panlong is now heading to Denstar. The environment on Denstar is very similar to that on Earth. It may become a new place for mankind to settle down. I heard that it is a beautiful planet. Hinata understood what Musashi meant. This was to let them investigate the situation on Denstar first. If it was really as suitable for human habitation as rumored, then they would conduct large-scale investigations and then migrate humans. And I heard that there haven't been any monsters on that planet so far. Another young man also expressed his opinion happily, but he changed the subject and said regretfully, this is really a bit disappointing. Everyone couldn't help but smile. Masahiko said, what are you thinking about, kid? Our job is transportation, not fighting monsters. I know that. What do you know? Well, Oki studied paleontology. The monsters on Earth have been extinct for so many years. Of course, he wants to see monsters. After playing around, everyone began to be interested in Denstar, which is a planet similar to the Earth. Soon after, they arrived at Denstar. Looking at the beautiful planet in front of them, all the crew members were very excited. Denstar, no abnormalities, prepare to land. After the system scanned the environment of Denstar, it immediately began to land and inspect the environment of Denstar. This was the task given to them by the headquarters. Everyone got off the spaceship. They had already detected the air composition on this planet. It was indeed similar to that on Earth, without any gases harmful to the human body. Therefore, they could log in directly without even wearing respirators. Walking on the solid ground, looking at the lush forest in front of them, breathing the air that was much fresher than on Earth, everyone felt refreshed and exclaimed, it is really beautiful here. Nature on Earth is like this. The air here is so fresh. Several people were in a good mood. It seemed that this place was indeed very suitable for human habitation. This mission should be completed soon. After this mission is completed, and you get the bonus, what are you going to do? I want to stay in a resort on Mars for a few days. The Panlong is still too small. There is not even a place to take a bath. As for me, I must go for a big meal. Finish the mission first, and don't let anything happen. Okay. How could it be like that? Boom. A huge meteorite fell from the sky and landed not far from them. It collided with the ground and erupted a huge shockwave. After the shockwave of the meteorite's landing passed, the members of the Panlong stood up and looked in the direction where the meteorite landed, but what they saw was not a meteorite, but a huge monster roaring through the world. Everyone was shocked. Oki was studying paleontology and had a very clear understanding of various monsters. After seeing this monster, he immediately said in surprise, what, this is Zeragus, how could it be here? At this time, the monster also discovered them and walked towards them aggressively. Shoot! Captain Hyuga ordered decisively, and all the team members immediately drew their guns and fired. But their small pistols hit Zeragus's body, just like doing for Thor rejuvenation, but it angered Zeragus, and he opened his mouth and a huge fireball sprayed towards everyone. Seeing this, several people flew to avoid it. The fireball exploded behind them, and the huge heat wave blew them away 5 or 6 meters, and fell heavily to the ground. Mingchen, are you okay? A young man Lei helped Mingchen, the only girl in the team, up and asked with concern. Lei nodded, looked at Zeragus and said, leave it to me. After saying that, he rushed up directly. Lei, be careful. Mingchen shouted loudly. Lei took out the Leonix fighting instrument and started it immediately. He held the fighting instrument high and shouted loudly, go, Gamora. A dazzling light flashed, and a huge monster appeared in front of everyone. Ancient monster Gamora. Is this the power of Leonix? Commanding monsters. I remember that Mr. Hickory once drew a prop called Advanced Ball. That thing seems to have similar abilities. Ultra Father, Leonix is a descendant of the ultimate life form Rebrando. The most powerful ability of Rebrando is to control monsters and strengthen monsters. The longer a monster is connected to Rebrando, the stronger the power of the original body will be. When the power is enhanced to a certain level, the monster will start to evolve, which is also called X. Ultra Father. Back then, Rebrando relied on a large number of monster legions to rule the universe. The video continues after Gamora appeared. He immediately rushed towards Zaragus according to Leia's intention, caught Zaragus and beat him up. Zaragus immediately fought back, and the countless shooting holes on his back were madly attacking Gamora. Gamora had to retreat temporarily and block the opponent's attack with his arms. This wave of attacks was very powerful, and even Leia was affected. Captain Hyuga saw this and immediately called all the team members and said, "Let's go support Leia." Understood. All the team members immediately responded loudly and quickly boarded the ship. The small pistols they carried with them were too weak. If they wanted to fight monsters, they had to use the weapon system on the Panlang. Gamora and Zaragus fought fiercely. The two monsters were huge in size. Every collision attack would cause great damage, and even caused small earthquakes again and again, and the surrounding rocks flew around. Leia is in danger, we must help him. After being attacked, Zaragus will become stronger. Oki is a paleontologist, and he is very familiar with the information of many monsters. He knows that you can't just attack Zaragus, unless you can blow up the opponent alive in this way. Oki thought for a while and said, after being attacked, when the guy's increasing his energy, he can't move for a short period of time. If we can seize this moment and attack into his body, we can definitely defeat him. Okay, Panlang, move forward. This chapter may be confusing for friends who have never seen big monsters fighting, but it's normal, because I was also confused when I first watched it. Damn, who are you? Damn, who are you? Damn, isn't this Ultraman? How can someone control a monster? Chapter 417. The future classroom has started. Understood. Nagatsumi immediately started the spaceship and flew towards Zaragus. Leia, can you read it? Captain Hyuga quickly contacted Leia, who was fighting. Got it. Oki has found a way to destroy Zaragus. We will hinder his actions, and you take the opportunity to destroy him from the front. Then he told Leia about Zaragus's weakness. After hearing this, Leia was excited and said, got it. After the discussion, the spaceship had already flown over the battlefield. The weapon system was turned on, and it was aimed directly at Zaragus. Captain Hyuga immediately ordered, Brachius missiles, fire. Masahiko pressed the weapon launch button hard, and countless missiles were launched from the Panlang, bombarding Zaragus. These attacks hit Zaragus' chest, causing a violent explosion. After enduring so many missile attacks, Zaragus was indeed as Oki said. Zaragus paused for a moment, and could not move. When Leia saw this, his eyes lit up. He knew that this was the best opportunity, and he immediately shouted loudly, go, Gamora. Gamora immediately leaped up, and flew directly into the air, and then his huge tail lashed down fiercely at Zaragus's head. Gamora's body weighed tens of thousands of tons, and the attack caused by this weight was already very huge, which directly hit Zaragus dizzy and screaming. Now, super vibration wave. Leia ordered again, and a strong energy came out of his Leonix battle instrument, merging with Gamora. Gamora lowered his head and pierced Zaragus's chest with his sharp horns, and then released that powerful super vibration wave. Zaragus immediately exploded and died completely. Success. Seeing that they finally killed Zaragus with their close cooperation, Oki shouted happily. Captain Hyuga said with a look of satisfaction, that guy is getting stronger and stronger. That's right, he is really becoming more and more reliable. Leia walked in front of Gamora and praised him. Gamora, you did a great job. Getting praised, Gamora immediately cheered. If it weren't for his huge size, this guy would probably want his master Leia to hug him and hold him high. Okay, come back, Leia said, and activated the battle instrument again. Gamora turned into a ray of light and entered the battle instrument. Just after putting Gamora back into the battle instrument, Leia suddenly looked up at the sky with vigilance and saw a ball of fire in the sky flying directly towards him. He immediately prepared for battle and stared at the ball of fire closely. However, this ball of fire landed gently on the ground without any violent collision. At the same time, the figure of the other party was revealed. It turned out to be an Ultraman. Leia then relaxed his vigilance. Ultraman? Everyone in the spaceship also saw Ultraman, and they were all shocked. They have all seen Ultraman. Mebius. That's Ultraman Mebius. After seeing him, Oki shouted excitedly, as if he had seen his idol. Mijin was not as excited as them, but said with a worried look, "He's injured." Then they saw Ultraman Mebius stretched out a finger towards Leonix, emitting a dazzling light. When the light disappeared, Lei had disappeared, and they only saw a ball of light disappearing in the sky. Lei! Mijin shouted loudly. Masahiko, Oki, and Hinata also looked at this scene in disbelief. Isn't Ultraman their friend? How could he capture their team members? What's going on? Captain Hinata asked nervously. But no one gave them an answer. In an unknown space, Lei suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the surrounding environment. He had no idea where this strange space was. What is this place? Why am I here? He had a lot of questions in his mind. Ha 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 ha. Before he could figure it out, a burst of evil laughter came. Lei turned around and saw a huge evil figure in the crimson sky, staring at him with blood-red eyes. The eyes were full of malice. Under this evil figure, there were countless monsters. Ultraman? He looked at the huge figure and thought it looked a bit like Ultraman, but he immediately denied it. Although they were similar, the aura was completely different. Ultraman was a warrior full of justice, with an aura of upright kindness, but the guy in front of him had an extremely evil aura. How could such a person be Ultraman? No, you are not Ultraman, you are Leonix. How could it be? He said in disbelief, and suddenly his head felt a tearing pain, which made his face twisted and painful. His name is Belia. A voice suddenly sounded and answered his question. Who are you? Lei shouted loudly, but he did not see the person who was speaking. If he is not stopped immediately, the world will be destroyed by him. A flash of light passed by, and a blonde man appeared in front of him. Nice to meet you. My name is Hibino Mirai. Mirai said politely. Hibino Mirai? We need your strength, Lei. You are Leonix among the Earthlings. There was once a powerful force, an alien called Rebrando, who ruled the entire universe. They manipulated many monsters, and were above the entire universe, and you inherited the genes of Rebrando. Mirai said the reason for looking for Lei. However, after listening to Lei, he was not moved at all, and said, Rebrando is dead. Leonix's battle is over, and I have completed my own mission. Now there is a mission that only you can complete. Mirai said. Lei frowned. An evil man from the Kingdom of Light. His name is Belia, the figure you saw before. Belia. Lei's mind unconsciously thought of that devil-like existence. Just a glance made him shudder. Lei. Future suddenly said, do you want to know the history of the Kingdom of Light? It's too outrageous. I had a stomachache early in the morning. I started to feel pain when I was queuing to buy food. I endured it for a long time. The price of eggs has increased, but there is no bun. I almost pooped my pants. Chapter 418, Mr. 1 Trillion Fireballs Raid. This is a history of the Land of Light. Mirai said to Lei, we the people of the Land of Light were almost the same as you humans 270,000 years ago. Then, Belia. I don't know much about Belia's story. Only Manizan and the others can tell you. The first Ultraman. Lei said, I have seen him, and fought alongside him. I see. A sunny smile appeared on the face of the future. No wonder Manizan asked me to find you. At the end of the Battle of Leonix, if it weren't for the first Ultraman, my companions and I would never have escaped. Lei was full of fighting spirit, looking at the future and said, Ultraman saved me, and now I want to repay him. Take me to the Land of Light. Mirai said excitedly, let's go. Then he took Lei and disappeared in the light. At the same time, Belia took the plasma spark tower to the monster cemetery. This is the place where the souls of monsters return after being killed. In the cemetery, there are souls of various monsters. They have lost their lives and are floating here unconsciously. Well, hahaha, everyone, follow me and do it again. Belia inserted the plasma spark energy source into the ground of the tomb, and used the energy of the plasma spark energy source to irradiate the dead souls of these monsters. The energy of the plasma spark energy source has the ability to turn decay into magic. Under the irradiation of the light, the monsters gained a new life, and all the dead monster souls suddenly opened their eyes. Hahaha, wake up. Belia shouted loudly, and slammed the ultimate battle instrument heavily on the ground. A powerful energy spread out, and the entire cemetery turned into a boiling magma. Those monsters got new bodies in this hot magma, and they drilled out one after another, responding to Belial's call, and turned into light, and drilled into his ultimate battle instrument. Ha ha ha, my monster army is resurrected again. Belial laughed arrogantly as he felt the powerful monster army in the ultimate battle instrument. The Kingdom of Light. I see. The first generation nodded and said, in the future, I fought side by side with Leonix on this earth. Screening room. Seeing this, Magneto couldn't help but ask, Leonix is the offspring of Rebrand, right? Yes. Then aren't you Ultraman enemies of Rebrand? Yes. Then why would Ultraman fight side by side with the offspring of Rebrand? Faced with Magneto's question, Hikari was also confused. Why not? Magneto was stunned and said, but shouldn't you be enemies? The blood of Rebrand flows in his body. Although I don't know why man will fight side by side with Ray, what I know is that as long as someone is willing to treat us well, no matter who he is, Leonix or the Barbastar, as long as he is sincere in treating us well, he is our friend. Since we are friends, of course we can fight side by side. Hikari said, right and wrong, and camps should be judged from a person's practices, actions, and behavior, not his origin. If others are sincere to me, we will naturally treat others sincerely, just like I'm good to Loki, and Loki's attitude towards me is better than towards you. Why do we have to judge a person's goodness or badness based on their race? Even in an evil race, there will definitely be kind people born, and even in a kind race, there may be bad people. Belia is a proof of this. Loki Odinson, I didn't mean it, don't talk nonsense. Loki Odinson, I'm a great god. You and those guys are the same stupid mortals in my eyes. Don't think that I will look at you more, just because you offer sacrifices to me. Hikari, right. The video continues. On the other side, Lei followed the future to a dark and cold world. There was no light at all, and there was ice everywhere, filled with endless cold. Where is this? Lei asked in confusion. Didn't he want to take him to the Kingdom of Light? Why did he come to this place? Seeing Leia's puzzled eyes, Future explained, this is the Land of Light. How could this be? After hearing this, Leia was in disbelief. He looked around and found that this was a completely ice and snow world. How could it be the legendary Land of Light filled with light? He saw a huge black shadow under his feet. He looked down and was shocked, because it was not a black shadow, but Ultraman who was completely frozen in the ice. He finally believed that this was the Land of Light. He said to Future, what should we do? After hearing this, Future was also a little confused. Originally, there were Captain Zoffy, 7 and the first generation Ultraman in the Space Guard. They were all old predecessors. If there were any problems, they would make a strict plan. He only had to obey orders and risk his life to do it. Arranging plans and so on were not within his jurisdiction. But now, they were all gone. He really had no idea how to save the Land of Light. Just when the two didn't know what to do, suddenly a huge monster roared. They turned around in shock and found a shadowy figure in the sky. Space Dinosaur, Jeton. Lei didn't think twice, took out his pistol and fired at the monster. But the small pistol didn't work at all. Jeton directly sprayed a huge fireball that was countless times larger than the bullet, which was Jeton's famous skill, a trillion-degree fireball. The trillion-degree fireball flew towards the position of Wheelie and Lei with terrifying heat. Wheelie jumped off the cliff with Lei. Fortunately, the cliff was not high and there was a slope. They slid down quickly on the completely frozen slope. Jeton, who had just attacked them, chased them. After finally reaching the bottom of the valley, the two stood up and waited for it. At this time, the ice surface, where they were suddenly exploded. The two flew away and saw that a monster broke through the ice where they were standing, making a huge roar. Unexpectedly, another monster appeared. It's King Black. Is this a monster sent by Belia? I don't know the timeline, so it's hard to judge, but I guess there should be many enemies of the Land of Light. These monsters are likely sent by the enemies of the Land of Light. Ultra Father, since King Black is here, the assassin Knuckle is most likely nearby. We are in trouble. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419, Crazy Knuckle. The video continues. Lei, I'm going to transform, you be careful. The future throws Lei to the ground, a laser brushes past the future's shoulder, and two aliens appear on the other side, the assassin Knuckle and Jeton. Damn it. Just then, another person comes to attack. Lei reacts and instantly pulls out his pistol, firing fiercely at the sudden attacker, but the attacker is very strong, especially with amazing speed, dodging left and right, and easily avoids the bullets shot by the laser, and continues to rush to Lei's side in the dense bullets and fights with him. Lei's close combat is also very good. While fighting with the opponent, he also looks for opportunities to shoot, and finally forces the man back. Lei quickly helps the future up. The future covers his chest, climbs up with difficulty, looks at the attacker in front of him angrily, and says, "And you are from the Sharp Ray. Hahaha, I didn't expect there is still a survivor." The Sharp Ray said with a laugh, "Are you Belia's subordinate?" Future continued to ask. Of course. Sharply did not hide it at all. After all, the entire Kingdom of Light was wiped out by Belia. The Kingdom of Light now can't be said to be old, weak, sick and disabled. It is basically a dead star. Roar. At this time, the two monsters roared loudly and rushed towards them. Future wanted to transform, but when he looked down, he found that the media mora on his wrist had been broken at some point. Damn it. I should have asked Hikari for a spare transformation device. Lei saw Future's predicament, looked at the monster again, took out the Leonix battle device and said, "Leave these two guys to me." Okay. The two looked at each other. Lei rushed directly towards the two monsters, and Future also looked at sharply with a cold look, pulled out the pistol on his waist, which was actually Guy's pistol. Gamora. With a roar, Gamora made a brilliant appearance. Gamora, who had been with Ray for many years, had already reached a level far beyond his original strength under the strengthening of Ray Brando's bloodline. Even Jeton, known as the Cosmic Dinosaur, was beaten back in front of Gamora. But the bodyguard monster Black King was obviously much stronger. At least at present, he could fight Gamora on equal terms. Under the joint attack of the two monsters, Gamora also fell into a disadvantage. On the other side of the battlefield, Future shot at 3 people, and Sharply and Knuckle also pulled out their pistols. Only Jeton looked like a clown, and hid aside awkwardly. It was agreed that the big monsters would fight, but how did it suddenly become a gunfight? Future seized the opportunity and got in close combat with Sharply, knocking the gun out of Sharply's hand with one punch. Just as he clamped Sharply, he suddenly saw a powerful laser aimed at him. Future relied on his superhuman nerve reaction speed to escape, but Sharply was blown up by this shot. And the one who fired the gun was Knuckle. Future was blown away by the laser just now, and his already injured body was further injured. He fell to the ground in pain for a while, and could not stand up. "What a pity," Knuckle said. "I didn't kill you with one shot. But it's not bad to kill the idiot Sharply." At this point, Knuckle turned around and aimed a gun at Jeton. Hey, you, what are you doing? What? Kill you? Of course." The Knacker sneered and said, "I'm a subordinate of Ultraman Belia, the once most powerful Dark Ultraman in the universe. How can I share such a precious position with idiots like you? Kill you and then kill this Ultraman kid. This token of allegiance will surely make Lord Belia look at me more. Now, die, you bastard. I have the control terminal of Jeton in my hand. I advise you not to act rashly." The Jeton raised the control terminal in his hand, but the next second, a laser blasted over, and the control terminal, and one of the Jeton's arms were blown to pieces. Ah. The Jeton covered his broken arm, and begged for mercy. "Please spare me, I promise I won't compete with you for status. I still have a Jeton controller on my spaceship. I will give Jeton to you. Spare me, ah." Hearing the Jeton screams, "Please for mercy," and dying wails, the Knuckle laughed excitedly. "You know what? What I like to hear most are the screams, please for mercy and wails of weak people like you." A morbid smile emerged on the distorted face of the Knacker star. "Hehe, ha 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 ha. Now, it's your turn, Ultraman, Ultra Warrior. Ha 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 ha. You know what? I'm so excited now. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Ha 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 ha. I can actually kill an Ultra Warrior, and he's still alive. An Ultra Warrior who can resist. This is the supreme honor on our Naka planet. Ultra Warrior. Ultra Warrior. The tyrannical and crazy laughter of the Naka star resounded on the ice. Don't you have any conscience? Future struggled and asked, how dare you attack your own companions? Companions? Knuckle heard this, his face twisted. On our Knuckle planet, there are no companions at all. Once the battle begins, there is only victory and death. The winner can get everything from the loser. Do you know how many people I have killed to get to this point today? Do you know? The Knuckle star grabbed the collar of the future and roared at the future. I killed my family. Everyone in my family. My father and his dozens of wives. All my brothers and sisters. The servants who raised me and my brother. The younger generations who regarded me as an idol. In the Black King Egg competition, I even killed my brother who had protected me since I was very young with my own hands. Because if I don't kill him, both of us will die. I must kill him. I want to live with his last wish. I want to be the strongest in the universe. I want to be the strongest in the universe. I can kill anyone I want to kill. I want to dominate my own destiny. I hate you Ultra Warriors the most. You don't know anything at all. In this universe, the law of the jungle is the right thing to do. Your so-called justice is bullshit. Protecting the weak, helping the weak, it's all fake. Fake. The Naka threw the future out fiercely. Future's body collided on the ice, and his internal organs were in pain. But Future said, this world is not like this, Naka. This world has light, kindness and love. FNMDP. Naka seemed to have been holding back for a long time. He roared and vented, like a flood, trying to vent all his experiences over the years. You protect the weak. When the old man died for us, where were you? You protect the universe. Then why do you sit back and watch the madness of Naka Star and do nothing? You call yourself justice. It's just your wishful thinking. If you want to read it, I might write a small extra story about the Naka people. Chapter 420. Knuckle, who was said to be autistic, has conquered you, Mr. 1 trillion degree fireball. Knuckle, we Ultra Warriors cannot interfere in the internal affairs of other planets. The future covered his wound and said to Knuckle, we cannot interfere in the affairs of Knuckle. Excuses, all excuses. Knuckle seemed to be crazy and seemed to want to provide himself with a way to vent. He threw away the gun, grabbed the future, pressed him against the ice and said, you are so strong. You have such a strong power. Even King Knuckle can't be the opponent of your space guard. If you just take action, there will definitely not be so many tragedies. But you didn't. You didn't. This is all your fault. Your. Ultraman is not a god. We are not omnipotent. We also have regrets. We also have people we cannot save. We also have friends who die in front of us. When my friends died in front of me, my heart was as sad as yours. Knuckle. But this is not a reason for your fall. Future limped to Knuckle and grabbed Knuckle's shoulders. Knuckle seemed to be stunned by the future. At this moment, he did not move and just stared at the future. Affected by Knuckle's emotions, King Black also stopped attacking. Lei did not know what happened here and did not dare to act rashly for a while. The entire battlefield instantly changed from war to peace. On the ice field, only the voice of the future was echoing. Mirai's eyes were filled with tears. He told Knuckle a story. Do you know, Knuckle, I once failed to save a person. I was on my way to Earth, and a spaceship was swallowed by a space wormhole created by the high-dimensional predator Bogaroo. I failed to save him. I watched him being swallowed by the wormhole with my own eyes. In the end, I could only find his remains. I couldn't even find his bones, and couldn't bring his remains back to Earth. Later, I transformed into his appearance and went to the young man's father on Earth, wanting to support his father on behalf of the young man, hoping to make up for my failure to save the young man in this way. But the father rejected me. I was ignorant at the time, but he still blessed me and gave me a name on Earth, Hibino Mirai. He hopes that I will be happy every day of my future on Earth. So, Knuckle, Ultra Warriors are not omnipotent gods. We also feel pain, injury, and sadness. There are things we cannot do, and important people we cannot save. But we did not give up. We will choose to carry the will of our dead companions and be strong. Keep on living. Live happily every day. Knuckle, I can't interfere in the internal affairs of Knuckle, but you can. The body of the Knuckle man trembled violently. He broke free from Future's hands and stepped back tremblingly. Shut up, bastard. The only one who can truly save yourself is yourself. Shut up. But if you give up your will to resist and your desire to move forward, even if we come as Ultra Warriors, it will be useless. I told you to shut up, bastard. Knuckle, I believe in you. Only Knuckle has people like you who want to change. The future of Knuckle must be bright, full of light. Don't give up on yourself, Knuckle. The Knuckle picked up the laser gun and fired randomly in the direction of the future. The laser scattered and exploded into a burst of smoke and dust, just like Knuckle's chaotic heart. King Black, kill him. King Black took action again. Seeing this, Lei hurriedly commanded Gamora to fight with King Black. Knuckle. An old and grand voice sounded. Knuckle looked up and saw an old man in a robe. First generation. Knuckle, did you see the young man who commanded Gamora? He is Leonix, the descendant of Rebrand, but he did not succumb to the evil blood in his body, but defeated him. He is now the Earthman Lei, not Rebrand. Only if you don't give up hope and light, will light come to you. Yes. Another voice sounded, and ZH using Chuan came over from the side and said, only those who believe in miracles will usher in miracles. Knuckle knelt on the ground in a daze, his eyes empty, and I don't know what he was thinking. Let's go, let him think about it here. Lei. The first generation walked towards Lei, and with the blessing of Lee Brando's bloodline, Lei recognized the old man in front of him. You are Ultraman. Yes. A silver and red shadow appeared beside the old man. It was Ultraman. Long time no see. The first generation nodded and said, I'll leave that jeton to you. Yes. Lei held up the Leonix fighting instrument, and a light like a card scanned jeton from top to bottom, and then jeton turned into a ray of light, and entered Lei's Leonix fighting instrument. Gamora shouted in dissatisfaction. He didn't want to live in the same room with his opponent. Okay. Lei comforted Gamora for a while, before persuading Gamora to return to the fighting instrument. Lei, we've been waiting for you for a long time. ZH using Chuan also came over. Ultraman 7. It was the first time Lei saw the two Ultramen in human form. He looked at Knuckle behind him, and King Black who was standing there, and asked, do you really not need to worry about them? The first generation became more and more confused and said, don't worry, nothing will happen. The most urgent thing now is to rush to the plasma spark tower. 7 pointed to the tower in the distance. On that tower, there was still the last beam of light. Chapter 421. Training armor on K-76. On the way, the first generation and 7 explained the situation to Future and Lei. We don't know the situation in the plasma spark tower, but he took away the plasma spark energy source. I saw it in space too. Future looked depressed. I was thrown out of the kingdom of light by Belia, and it took me a long time to break free from the restraints. At that time, I saw Belia flying away with the plasma spark energy source. But there is still one last ray of light on the plasma spark tower. 7 said, it is difficult for the two of us to maintain our human form now. The top priority now is to go to the plasma spark tower to get the last ray of light. Are there only 3 of you Ultra Warriors left in the kingdom of light now? Ordinary children will definitely not be able to stop this cold current, and their strength won't even be of much help. The first generation sighed and said, at that time, 7 and I were knocked down from the air by Belia, and before we could recover, the energy source of the plasma spark tower was taken away by Belia. We could only barely resist the cold current. Jack, Ace, Eddie, Hickory, Taro, and Brother Zoffy, they don't know what happened to them. And, Captain, the atmosphere was a bit dull for a while. The 4 walked in silence for a long time. Suddenly, the first generation said to 7, let's call him back. The kingdom of light needs strength now. His words King's planet K-76. It is a very desolate planet with a very bad surface environment. Huge sandstorms erupt almost every moment. It is not a habitable planet at all, but there is a giant in armor undergoing hard training here. He is wearing very heavy armor and a sealing device to limit his strength. Opposite him stands a red lion, Leo, Ultraman Leo. The two are fighting, or training. Damn it, take this damn thing off for me, the young warrior said angrily. Although this training protective armor can provide high protection capabilities so that the young warrior will not be killed by Leo, it also limits his strength, speed, mobility, agility and other attributes. It can be said that most of the remaining attributes have been cut off for defense. This is also part of the training. Leo ignored the young warrior's request and continued to fight with the young warrior. He stood up with difficulty and said, "Even if I'm wearing this, I can still beat you." After that, he rushed forward again. The armored warrior rushed forward and aimed at Leo's head with a jumping knife, but was blocked by Leo's left arm. Then the armored warrior kicked violently. This kind of big and powerful action has power, but the agility and hit rate are much lower, not to mention that he is wearing training armor, and his agility is even more terrible. If this kick hits, it will be a miracle. Faced with the fierce attack of the armored warrior, Leo's actions were more defensive, which was not provocative. The young warrior, who was already very unhappy because of wearing the training armor, was even more irritable, and the fight was even more chaotic. He tried to attack Leo with his legs, but was kicked to the ground by Leo. Then the young warrior stood up, as if nothing had happened. Leo continued to use continuous whip kicks, kicking the young warrior to the ground again and again, and then the young warrior stood up again, and so on. Leo kicked the young warrior's chest hard, and kicked him hundreds of meters away, hitting a small hill. Pigman, who was hiding in the gap of the hill, immediately ran out, and screamed at him. The young warrior pushed it away with his hand and said, "If you don't want to die, stay away." The Kingdom of Light. The warrior wearing the training armor. Seven's eyes widened. Although he had never seen the warrior, he could feel that the other party had a blood relationship with him, even if he just looked at the outline of his body. Cinema. He's quite skilled. Bruce Wayne commented, his fighting skills are pretty good. If it weren't for the training armor, he would have been at least 40% to 60%. But he's still too impatient. Captain America. He was hit so many times, but he was still able to keep fighting. What a strong will. Logan. This kid is a natural warrior. Hickory. Blue, red, and silver. He's actually a mixed race. Strange. What's the definition of mixed race? Magneto. So, there are also racial divisions within your Kingdom of Light. Hickory. The Kingdom of Light is divided into 3 tribes, the strong red tribe, the superpower silver tribe, and the intelligent blue tribe. For some reason, it's easy for the silver tribe to have children when they marry the other 2 tribes, or when they marry within the 2 tribes, but it's hard for the red and blue tribes to have children. We don't know why. Hickory. However, despite this, there are still many young people who are willing to pursue their own love. We old guys will not stop them. Now we can see the younger generations of 3 colors, and we are very happy. I thought, what? Even with the ultra ear that can hear the tiny sounds thousands of meters away, Hickory did not hear clearly what Magneto muttered. Ah, nothing. Seeing this, Hickory did not ask any more questions. Since the other party did not want to say it, it would be very rude to ask again and again. The video continues. The perspective returns to the frozen Kingdom of Light again. Who would have thought that this beautiful country that was once full of light, warmth and love is now in a dead silence. A strange bird like a phoenix is flying in this cold sky. The original strange bird, Litora. This is Raymond's second monster. In the trial field of the Rebrando star, Raymond met the dying Litora and put it into the Leonix fighting instrument. In the following days, Litora, like Gamora, became an important partner of Raymond. Thanks to Litora, otherwise it would be a big trouble. The buildings of the Kingdom of Light are built according to the body size of the people of the Kingdom of Light. Compared with the people of the Kingdom of Light, it takes a while to fly from the previous position to the Plasma Spark Tower. If they run there as humans, they may not be able to reach the Plasma Spark Tower when Belier arrives. There is a sound. That is, Missile Ultra Beast Becklon. Looking at the coral-like monster that appeared, everyone had a headache. They didn't expect that the Yabo people also intervened. Kingdom of Light. Yabiru, I knew he would come. Chapter 422. Ultraman Zero's first appearance, kicking Ultraman Eddie to pieces. Ace was not surprised by the appearance of Becklon. He was more worried about the safety of Raymond and his group. Amitabha. Ace's body was filled with Buddha's light. Under the illumination of the plasma spark energy source, the original sacred feeling was given a warmth from the human heart. He entered the other dimension more than once, trying to find Yabru and talk to him about converting him, but Yabru seemed to have discovered the changes in himself and knew that his resentment resurrection might not work in front of him, so he never appeared in front of him again, and every time he commanded the super beasts to deal with him. This also made Ace firm in his confidence. Since Yabru was hiding from him, it meant that the other party was afraid. Since he was afraid, it even more proved that his approach was necessary. The video continues. Gamora. Contain him head on. Jeton. Use a trillion-degree fireball. Gamora rushed over and slapped Becklon in the face. Do you know how much damage a big fight can do to a super beast that has just been produced? Exclamation mark. Because of his own lack of strength, Jeton would be defeated in close combat, so he could only watch from the sidelines and get some assists. A trillion-degree fireball hitting Becklon was like tickling him, with the effect of 2 photons for skin rejuvenation. Seeing the battle deadlock, Seven got anxious and took out the Ultra Eye and put it on his face, ready to activate Ultra Telekinesis. Wait a minute. If you use Ultra Telekinesis in this situation, your body will be greatly traumatized. There is no time. Let me do it. Brother 7. Future said to 7, I'm still young. My body can withstand the side effects of Ultra Telekinesis. No. Mebius. 7 rejected Future. You are still young. Your potential has not been fully developed, and you still have a long way to go. Because I used Ultra Telekinesis for a long time before, my body was already blocked, and it's okay to use it now. That's it. No. The first generation listened attentively, as if he heard something. Our helpers are here. Gamora and Zeton are our helpers. Deal with Becklon. Got it. I saw a silver and red figure falling from the sky and kicked Becklon on the neck. Boom. Becklon exploded. Moonsault flying kick. The super flying kick skill that once kicked King Chimera to pieces. What is a people's teacher? Ultraman. 7. Mebius. And you, my friend from the distant Earth. Eddie walked over quickly and nodded to the 4 people. Let's go to the Plasma Spark Tower. Okay. The group continued to rush to the Plasma Spark Tower. Eddie, who had recovered his full strength and even had a little more strength, was the pioneer who cut through the thorns along the way. Anyone who dared to come and cause trouble on the road, whether it was a super beast, a monster, or an alien, was killed by Eddie one by one. Gamora and Jeton didn't even have a chance to make a move. Eddie, your strength, it's Captain Zoffy. Eddie killed a space dragoness with one knife and told the people on Latora. At that time, I was sent to the Silver Crusaders. A cold wave hit. Captain Zoffy told me that he was seriously injured and would not be able to recover for a while, so he gave all the energy in his body to me and everyone in the Silver Crusaders. They saved me. I will also fight with them with their will. 7. Eddie said to 7 on Latora's back, have you ever considered calling that child back? I'm thinking about it too. 7 said, I asked the king. The king said that he would let him come back at the most appropriate time. I still believe in my choice. If that child does not change after coming back, but is tempted by darkness and falls again, I would rather never let him leave the King's Star. Excuse me, who are you talking about? Raymond couldn't help asking. The word falling into darkness made him a little uneasy. Contained in his body is the most terrifying and darkest bloodline power in the universe. To this day, he has to endure the temptation and trouble brought to him by this power. Alas, that idiot. He doesn't understand our painstaking efforts at all. 7 said with a sigh. He doesn't know how serious the consequences of abandoning the power of justice are. He is called Zero, and he is my son. Kingdom of Light. My son. 7 looked unbelievable. I have a child with a blue girl in the future, and he also betrayed the light. The intense information shock made 7 a little difficult to accept. He stared at himself on the screen, eager to hear information about his child from his own mouth. Time came to 1,000 years ago. On the Plasma Spark Tower, a young man came to the Plasma Spark energy source. Is this thing the energy source of the Plasma Spark Tower? The boy said in a nasty voice. It doesn't look that great. After saying that, the nasty boy wanted to reach out and touch the plasma spark energy source. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared from behind him and grabbed the boy's arm. The huge force clamped the boy's arm tightly like an iron clamp, and the boy couldn't break free, no matter how hard he tried. It was Seven. Seven slapped the boy in the face, and the huge force directly made the boy lose consciousness for a short time. His body turned 2.5 weeks in the air, and finally fell heavily to the ground. After a short loss of consciousness, the boy endured the severe pain on his face, and climbed up from the ground. "What are you doing?" The boy was obviously not a rule-abiding person. If he was a rule-abiding person, he would not be here. He waved his tender fist and hit Seven. Seeing this, Seven dodged the boy's attack by moving sideways. This kind of fight between teenagers may have the upper hand, but in front of Seven, a battle-hardened planetary observer, the attack was a joke, full of loopholes. While dodging sideways, Seven stretched out a hand and pushed the boy to the ground. He looked at the boy, and in addition to severity, his eyes were more disappointed, painful, and regretful. "Zero, you have lost the qualification to be an Ultra Warrior." Chapter 423, Zero and Belial's Different Paths. Kingdom of Light. Watching everything that happened on the screen, Seven was frozen in place. I arrested my own son with my own hands 10,000 years later, and also deprived him of his qualification as an Ultra Warrior. "My son, why did you follow the old path of Belial?" Ultra Father patted Seven on the shoulder and said, "I'm also a father. I can fully understand how you feel now. Even if it has not happened yet, I can still feel how you feel." Seven was stunned and didn't want to talk. Perhaps it was indeed his idea that was wrong. He should have brought the child to his side and kept a close watch on him. Even if he made him hate himself for the rest of his life, he absolutely could not let him go down the wrong path. Seven shook his head fiercely and drove away those distracting thoughts. Anyway, none of this has happened yet, and there is still a chance for everything to change. It seems that I owe the screening room a huge favor. Screening room. Ultra Father, fortunately, all this has not happened yet. The child named Zero has not even been born yet. There is still a chance for everything to change. Loki Odinson, it seems that the guy in the armor is Zero, so why don't you expel Zero, like you expelled Belial? Faced with Loki's deliberate troublemaking, Ultra Father still calmly replied, "Ultra Father, nothing has happened now. I can only explain it to you from my current perspective. If you have any objections to my explanation, you can always raise it." Ultra Father, I think the first reason is that Zero did not touch the source of the plasma spark. Ultra Father, whether it is Belial on the screen or Belial in our universe, they all touched the energy source of the plasma spark tower, but Zero did not. This is one of the reasons. Ultra Father, the second issue is the age gap. Belial is not younger than me. If you count carefully, Belial is 3 or 5 Earth days older than me. When he touched the plasma spark tower, he was already a mature warrior. As an adult, he should be responsible for his actions. As for Zero, I roughly estimated that he was only about 4,000 years old when he tried to touch the plasma spark. Converted to Earth age, he should be only 14 to 16 years old. His mind is not mature enough. Bruce Wayne, teenagers are in a rebellious period, and from what Seven said, it seems that you didn't tell him his identity since he was a child. Ace, Brother Seven said that it was probably because of seeing Tager's troubles that he decided not to recognize Zero and let him go. Bruce Wayne, that's right. The psychological condition of teenagers is unstable. He grew up without a father or a mother. Although according to the situation in your Kingdom of Light, he should not suffer any discrimination, but his heart is definitely not healthy. Parents are the most important teachers in the growth of children. You directly disown Zero and let him go, which is even an extremely irresponsible approach. Kingdom of Light. He is right. Seven nodded and said, if I really have a child in the future, I will definitely teach him in person, and this situation on the screen will never appear again. Ultra Father, as for the third point, why was Belial expelled by us, and Zero was escorted to Kingstar to be trained by Leo? Ultra Father, we expelled Belial at that time because we wanted him to calm down and wait for tens of thousands of years. When Belial calms down, we will welcome him back. but we didn't expect that the soul of the Rebrando star would possess him. Ultra Father, the reason why Ultra was not expelled, but sent to K-76 was because Ultra was too young. With Ultra's strength, if Ultra was expelled to the universe, the probability of survival would be very low. Moreover, when a child makes a mistake, the most important thing is to teach him and tell him where he did wrong, rather than just blaming him. Ultra Father, I think they sent Ultra to King Planet in the hope that Ultra King and Leo could teach Ultra well. The video continues. Raymond's heart suddenly skipped a beat when he heard what Seven said. The power in his body is an evil power. He was once tempted and wavered, but he finally persisted in a very dangerous way. Otherwise, he would probably be the person who betrayed the power of justice that Seven said. Everyone came to the Plasma Spark Tower. At this moment, the tallest building in the Kingdom of Light, the building that brought hundreds of thousands of years of warm light to the Kingdom of Light, has become a cold and dead tower. But at the top of the tower, there is still a ray of hope protected by the Ultra Flame. That's it. Can we fly up directly? No, the defense of the Plasma Spark Tower itself is also terrifying. Latora can't directly break the defense of the Plasma Spark Tower. Go in from the inside of the tower. Okay. Wait, what's that sound? It's the Kingu Bridge. Damn, there are so many. Everyone looked up and saw that the sky was densely covered with various Kingu bridges. In addition to the brass version of the first generation, there was also a black machine gun Kingu bridge. Raymond also saw a red self-destruct Kingu bridge and a green Kingu bridge whose function was unknown. Pedant people, you bastards. Go find the plasma spark energy source. Find a light. Eddie said without hesitation. Don't worry. I will protect this place. Add me. Raymond took out the Leonix fighting device. Gamora. Jeton. Two monsters appeared here, roaring angrily at the King Joe fleet in the sky. You saved me back then. 10,000 years ago, the Ultra Brothers saved the Earth and my ancestors more than once. Raymond said, now, I can also protect Ultraman on behalf of countless Earthlings. Go. Please, Latora. Latora let out a long cry and flew into the Plasma Spark Tower with the three future people. Raymond stood on the ground and looked at Eddie. Eddie nodded to Gamora and Jeton, raised his two heads high, and focused the light. Ultra double light arrow. Two rose-red blades of light flew out in a dazzling trajectory, and sparks exploded in the golden bridge. The battle begins. This is my own idea. If you insist on that dark theory, then I can't do anything about it. Chapter 424, The Disc Creatures and the King Goku Army, The Vision of Knuckle. At the bottom of the Plasma Spark Tower, the three saw the three AO who were frozen to the point that they could hardly see their human form. Hickory, Jack, Ace. The moment the three saw the three AO, a ray of light lit up, and their consciousness was pulled into a consciousness space. Hickory, Mebius. Hickory nodded to the three AOs and said, we still lost, and failed to stop Belia. You have tried very hard. After all, Belia is the strongest warrior of the same generation as the captain. Seven consoled him. We will get the light of hope soon, and will soon save you from the cold. No. Hickory said with more and more nods. The energy of the light of hope is not enough to revive all of us. We must simplify things. Unfortunately, I can't fight alongside you. This is what Ace and Jack meant. You must be careful when facing Belia. The power of the Giga fighting machine far exceeded my expectations. Like the Emperor's dark magic armor, it can withstand almost all known light skills. The combined light of the four of us was blocked by the Giga fighting machine. Otherwise we would not have lost so badly. Future, give you this. A blue light flew from Hickory's wrist to Future's wrist, and the blue light merged with a Mebius aura to become the Mebius Night aura. This is the only way I can help you. The consciousness space was disconnected, and before the Future could feel sad, the Plasma Spark Tower shook. Although it was only a small shake, Saneo still felt it. Damn pedant people. They actually want to blow up the Plasma Spark Tower. One after another, the shells exploded on the wall of the Plasma Spark Tower. For the Plasma Spark Tower with the Plasma Spark energy source, this attack is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. But now that the Plasma Spark Tower has lost its energy source, this attack will not cause any problems for a while, but time will pass, and the Plasma Spark Tower will definitely not be able to hold on. Latora. Fly. There is no time to feel sad. At the command of the future, Latora flapped his wings and flew high. Outside, the sound of killing shook the sky. Not only King Ukiro, but also monsters from other planets participated in this attack. No, not monsters. These guys are disc creatures. Disc creature Nova. Disc creatures. A huge army of monsters rushed towards the gate of the plasma spark tower. Raymond commanded Jeton and Gamora to block the door tightly and resolutely did not let any monster break through their defense and enter the plasma spark tower. Eddie flew in the air. Facing such a large number of enemies, Eddie seemed a little overwhelmed for a while. There were too many. No matter what, they would launch a suicide attack on the plasma spark tower. No matter what, their energy was definitely not enough, and now they were in a dead end. And among the countless Kingu bridges, Eddie also saw a large number of Bolton people. On an inconspicuous Kingu bridge, Pedden and Commander Black sneered at Eddie, who was tired of fighting the enemy. I didn't expect that Baba, that idiot, actually released that terrifying existence. Haha. Commander Black laughed and said, that idiot actually wanted to control an existence of that level. That lord is a big shot who can be compared with His Majesty the Emperor. He, Baba, calls himself the ruler of the dark universe in a remote area. It's really hilarious. I didn't expect it. The Pedden people looked at Eddie, who was desperately killing the enemies and the two monsters blocking the gate of the plasma spark tower, and said, the Kingdom of Light actually has such a strong resistance. But I'm surprised by you, Brother Black. Your black planet was bombed that year, but I didn't expect there were still remaining disc creatures. Commander Black's face froze. There were not many disc creatures left after Black Planet was bombed that year, and later a large number of them were summoned away by the Emperor. The remaining old, weak, sick and disabled people had finally cultivated these few useful disc creatures after thousands of years of cultivation. If he hadn't been on the King's Bridge of the Pedden people, he would definitely deal with this guy who exposed his shortcomings. The Jetons must be dead, and the remaining two idiots are not much better. The Peddens continued, that's good. If one more person dies, we can get more awards. If Bolton is killed, it will be even better. Only after hearing the reward did Commander Black's face look a little better. Helping that adult to destroy the Kingdom of Light. That adult will definitely give them a lot of rewards. Bolton, these bugs, have no other abilities, but they are very good at surviving. How about we? In the distance. The fight has begun. Knuckle was attracted by the fierce battle fluctuations around the plasma spark tower. The belligerent factor in his body instinctively began to prompt the body to secrete hormones, mobilize emotions, and go to fight. Under the instinct of his body, Knuckle walked towards the direction of the battlefield. He was too lazy to care about so much. Anyway, he had killed so many people and could not turn back. Since he was already rotten, he would continue to rot. The group of idiots from the Kingdom of Light still want to change themselves through a lecture. It's really ridiculous. King Black, let's go. Knuckle numbly gave orders to King Black. He thought, let's do it. Go to fight. Whether to kill them or be killed by them, it's not bad. Anyway, this is the fate of the Naka people. No Naka people have ever died of old age. Change? Change? How to change? How can he change the historical ecology of the entire Naka star for 100,000 or 1 million years with his own power? Impossible. How can his own power change the entire Naka star? Funny Knuckle thought so in his heart, but when his eyes swept over the body of an Ultraman frozen in ice, he was stunned. It was a slightly larger person from the Kingdom of Light. He opened his arms and wanted to block the overwhelming cold current for a small person from the Kingdom of Light behind him. But the power of the cold current could not be easily blocked even by the Ultra Brothers, let alone an ordinary resident. Knuckle didn't know whether he was his father or his brother, but his vision gradually blurred, and the child's body gradually overlapped with a person. Who was it? Knuckle trembled all over, and he jumped directly from the palm of King Black's hand. Regardless of the severe pain caused by the impact of jumping from a high altitude, he limped towards the child's body. He wanted to see the child clearly. Why do you look so familiar to me? Who are you? Who are you? Who is it? Knuckle ran desperately on the ice, ran, and finally, he saw clearly. It was himself, his childhood self. I put Knuckles' memories in the extra chapter. What? You ask me where the extra chapter is? It's in my mind. Chapter 425, Reborn in the Sacred Fire, 777. Gamora, Super Shockwave. Jetton, 1 trillion degree fireball. Jetton sprayed a high temperature fireball from the yellow crystal on his face, repelling a King Joe in front of him, and Gamora's whole body turned red, and the two sharp horns and the sharp horn on his nose were like red hot irons, and he slammed into a burger fiercely. Boom. A burger was blown up by the super shockwave. In the sky, Eddie became more and more courageous, but the energy in his body was obviously gradually insufficient. He dared not use some powerful but high energy skills. He could only rely on punching and kicking, and the 8-point light wheel, to dismantle the King Joe. On the ground, Gamora and Jetton were not in a good state either. There were too many enemies. Although the mass-produced King Joe could even defeat Jetton, and Gamora, who had been trained by Raymond for a long time, could directly kill him and open the unparalleled, but there were still too many. The number was even too much. Ants bite elephants to death. The opponent's plan is to use a large number of Kingukio to kill himself and Eddie here. Raymond wiped his sweat. In this frozen environment, he was sweating profusely. It is conceivable that his physical strength was consumed. But it is not enough. He has to delay for a while, and then delay for a while. Looking at the tower behind him, he silently said in his heart, "Come on, Gamora. Switch defense with Jetton. Jetton, don't rush up. Throw light bullets from behind to assist Gamora." Litora flew desperately. It was not difficult for Litora to reach a height of 10,000 meters. The difficulty was to catch up with the height of 10,000 meters in a very short time. Litora could feel Raymond's situation through the blood connection of the Leonix fighting instrument. The master is fighting. I want to help the master. Thinking of this, Litora's speed increased again, and his wings even left a residual image. Finally, Litora brought Saneo to the top of the tower. "Thank you for your hard work, Litora." The 3AO turned over and landed on the ground, jogging past Ultra Father and coming to Taro. 7 could still see the traces of burning on Taro's body. This was the case when the Ultra Bomb was used to a certain extent. Taro was guarding the last ray of light with his own life. Taro, he guarded the last hope with his own life. Yes. The first generation nodded and said, "Our Rodao has finally grown up. Instructor Taro, your efforts will never be in vain. I will definitely bring the energy source of the plasma spark back to the kingdom of light." Taro and the plasma spark light in his arms seemed to have heard the words of the future. The light of hope broke away from Taro's body and split into 6 rays of light with a blazing flame, entering the future Mebim Knight Sora, the first generation's beta magic stick, and 7's ultra glasses, as well as the Leonix fighting instrument in the hands of Eddie and Raymond who were fighting outside. And the 6th one flew into the universe. Mebius, wash your socks. Geo. In the holy light burning with blazing flames, the figures of Mebius, Ultraman, and 7 reappeared. Let's go support them. Okay. The 3 Ultramen rushed out of the gate of the plasma spark tower at the same time. Mebius waved his arm, and the Mebius Knight blade was unsheathed, and he cut Blackhand in half with one sword. "Thank you for protecting us, Raymond." Mebius stood beside Gamora and Zetton, holding a long sword and pointing it at the disc creature in front of him. Mebius Ultraman heroic form. This power. The light shone in Raymond's Leonix fighting instrument. The light that should have been mutually exclusive with his Leonix bloodline was actually integrated with the Leonix fighting instrument at this moment. The light flashed, and the brand new Leonix fighter appeared in Raymond's hand. Shining fighter. Is this the light of Ultraman? The light that can even merge with Darkness Ray? Mebius' voice rang in Ray's ears. Darkness is not scary. As long as you face the light, darkness will be left behind. The blood of Rebrando can never represent your heart. Keep justice in your heart and protect the weak. Even Leonix can become an Ultraman. Ultraman? Ray looked at the shining fighter in his hand and smiled slightly. Gamora. Zetton. The light and flames danced from the shining fighter, and Gamora and Zetton evolved in the sacred fire. Gamora. Zetton enhanced form. Fight, everyone. In the sky, Ultraman and Eddie, who had regained their light, stood back to back. Facing the overwhelming combined forces of Bolton and King Joe, the 2 Ultramen were not afraid at all. Ultraman. It's time to settle the accounts of 10,000 years ago. Then come. Ultraman bowed and put his hands together. His left arm and right arm overlapped to form a cross, and a blue light swept across the 4 directions. Bolton and King Joe died if they touched it, and were injured if they touched it. On the other side, Eddie's energy condensed in his hand, and a spear of light appeared in his hand. Then Eddie aimed at the most densely packed place of King Joe, and threw the spear hard. The spear penetrated countless King Joe, and exploded into gorgeous fireworks in the sky. Damn it. Commander Black and Pedon's faces became extremely ugly. They didn't expect that the other party actually reactivated a little light of the plasma spark tower. It doesn't matter, said the Pedon. We still have the King's army, and we can wait until. Bang. The sound of heavy objects falling rang out, and the Pedon and Commander Black turned their heads to see that the door of the cockpit had been turned into a pile of metal plates. Behind the original door, there appeared a giant holding an ice axe and wearing a solar deck. The anger in his eyes seemed to have turned into a substantial red giant. 7. 7. 7. 7 is here to behead. Damn it, 7, don't be so arrogant. We are. 7, I was wrong. Forgive me. While Commander Black threatened 7, the Pedon on the side knelt down with his body bent forward and kowtowed to the Pedon in metal plate with his head, knocking so hard that a subtle groove appeared on the Pedon in metal plate. 7 was also confused. The next second he immediately took a defensive posture. Could it be that the opponent took such a posture to distract his attention and then launch a sneak attack? 7. I have shut down the action system of King Joe. I was forced. I was really forced. 7. The Pedon star cried bitterly, crying with compassion, and it made people feel sad and cry. Red Superman couldn't bear it for a second when he saw it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.